Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing this week?
I'm doing well. I went down a really weird rabbit hole last night. Uh
Okay.
this goes back to something you and I have talked about a few times, and it's a conversation I've never really known how to carry out because I think I realize now that the premise was always a little bit off. We've talked about like cartoons we grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And the conversation tends to get fixated and focused on like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney. And the
Sure.
problem is I'm aware that like there were shows on those platforms that I watched like at a point growing up, but
Uh-huh.
really the shit that was really landing for me in my childhood was a lot of like the early mid 90s like public channel cartoons, some of which is so much more incredibly unhinged than I like remember. I just like started like going randomly through like I'm just going to watch like, openings to different shows and stuff, and like all the different attempts to like capture the energy of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where you just have like 17 different shows where it's like, well, these are, you know, literal cowboys. They're cows that ride horses and do cowboy shit. Street Sharks, of course, is another classic where you've got sharks that swim in concrete. Uh, yeah, like I feel like I need to show you some of these shows because I feel like you just have no knowledge of like any of this. Like I feel like this is just before your time in such an insane way. Like
Yeah,
W
when you say when you said like public broadcast like shows, I'm just like, oh, so like Arthur or Dragon
No,
Tales.
I'm not talking about, no, I'm not, like when I say public, I don't mean like PBS. I mean stuff that was just on like local stations. So like UPN Kids, WB Kids, Fox Kids, like a lot of that stuff.
Oh yeah, WB Kids, yes, yes,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about there. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But like also stuff
yeah.
that was on like ABC and CBS, like, oh man, there is like it's such an interesting cross section of like anime started to kind of come over, but also not. And then you have stuff that's very like almost Don Bluth style, or even has a bit of a rotoscope look to it, like Pirates of Dark Water. The one that really threw me off because I remember this, but I didn't like I needed to rewatch it to really feel it. The Mega Man cartoon, the
But
regular,
oh, the old
yeah,
one,
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. The regular like animation for the episodes, pretty stiff and like, they were definitely on a budget. But I forgot how fucking hard the opening animation was for that show. Like like I posted it in the Discord actually in our like little media section. There's parts of that animation where I'm like, we had this in '94. Like they were doing that. I just like it just completely left my memory. And the rest of the show does not look like that. Like like the animation for that opener is so good, and then it's just downhill from there. Which there's a whole interesting history with that actually that I started reading into because again, rabbit holes. Um, but yeah, like whenever we talk about cartoons, they're just like, yeah, yeah, like I remember watching, like, yeah, this was a show that came out. But when I really think about the stuff that was like when I was a kid, and it was just what was available on TV, it's like, oh, I was watching like the older dub of DBZ, and a
Oh
whole lot
yeah.
of like, like Saban trying to localize things. Like I remember Tekkaman Blade is this one thing that came out in Japan, and they localized it in the US as Techno Man, with like
Hmm.
completely redoing a whole bunch of plot and stuff, and like trying to make it more because that's what Saban does.
Yeah.
Um, and then like the two different Sonic animated shows that aired at like the exact same time with completely opposing tones.
Was Sonic Underground and Sonic X, or is
No,
that what
see,
you're?
no, no, no. We're going
Oh, it was
over,
before
buddy.
X.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there was they and like the names were so similar, like this was confusing to child me. Like 7-year-old Kevin did not know what was happening because you had Sonic the Hedgehog, just animated
Yes.
series, and then you had the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And so Sonic the Hedgehog was similar to like maybe Underground or X, where it's like, a little bit darker, vaguely like it's this weird almost post-apocalyptic vibe where Robotnik has taken over the world and it's all machines, and like Sonic's part of a resistance. And then you have the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the most Looney Tunes level wacky shit where like there's not really ever a constant sense of environment. It's just kind of one gigantic jazz cup art that Sonic's running around in. He's voiced by the guy. He's voiced by Jaleel White, who is the actor for
Yeah,
Urkel. Uh,
yeah.
and like it's just such an utterly silly show. And these were both coming out like at the same time. Like they were both in syndication and running in like 94, 95. And it was so weird getting used to one of them, which I was used to the slapstick one, and then randomly catching glimpses of the other one going like, wait, what the why is this like this? Why are these shows
Mm.
like it's just so bizarre they aired at the same time. Um there was like other shows trying to do almost like kind of the Gargoyles vibe, and I'm actually not sure which one came first, but there was like the fucking Mighty Ducks cartoon and uh
Oh yeah.
another like vaguely Gargoyles one that was about mummies, which was really silly. Banger opening track though. That song stuck in my head right now as we speak. Uh but yeah, there's this whole era of animation that is like completely apart from what kind of came from like the cable satellite era of like the big names of the Cartoon Network and such, where I'm just like, yeah, like this was what I grew up on. Like, and so many weird ideas that lasted a single season and just did not get traction. Sherlock Holmes in the 27th century or whatever it's called.
Okay, that I've
Yeah.
never heard of.
No,
You're like
yeah.
that one
Again,
you've completely lost me.
again, stuff that came out in like 93, 94, 95, and it's just throwing stuff at a wall. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes animation. There was that one too.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah. And so this is why I'm always stumped when you ask me like what cartoons I remember growing up with, because we always talked about these like cable era stuff. And it's like, yeah, by then I was hitting my teens and I was watching more like anime and like Toonami, and like, yeah, I watched cartoons a little bit, but like it was definitely more anime specifically. And classic animation, it's like, oh, this was all the stuff I was watching. Plus Gargoyles, because Gargoyles did hit like public
Oh
syndication
yeah,
for a while.
Gargoyles. Yeah,
That's a
Gargoyles
true
is great.
classic. I forget if I actually remember to bring that up last time we talked about animation, because
I
that's a
don't
formative one for sure.
yeah, I don't think you did, but um Gargoyles is a classic for sure. Um yeah, I mean, not much happened with me. I talked about it before we started recording, but I like went to urgent care over the weekend because like for those that don't know, I'm severely asthmatic. I've dealt with it like my entire life. And my current housing situation, I live with dogs, and because I'm like unemployed in the sense of like I don't have a permanent position, I don't have insurance. So I've kind of just like been getting by as I can with like over the counter medication.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where I was just like, I need to go get my actual proper prescriptions now. Because it's just not doing enough. I held out for a very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um, so had to pay a lot more money than I than I wanted to over the weekend. But on the brighter side, I went to see Twice's 10-year documentary film in theaters yesterday. And that was fantastic and amazing. And I love that group so much. Um, it's it's really one of those interesting things where you know because the K-pop industry is just such a there's a lot of vitriol aspects about it
Mm.
for sure. Um, no denying that, but yeah, like Twice has always like brought just been like an antidepressant for me, I guess is the best way to explain it.
All right.
It's just
You
yeah,
said that
just
you
really is just it makes me happy
so
and
you got medication in
um
two forms this past weekend, is what I'm
yeah,
hearing.
it brings me good energy and makes me like, keep on wanna fighting,
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to explain it. So, um those girls have done a lot for me, just through their music and like their personalities and stuff. And so, yeah, shout out to Twice. I can't wait to see y'all multiple times in January when I go to LA to see them at
And
the
that
Forum.
and
Very
that's not who
excited.
you're coming out for this weekend, right? Who are you seeing this
No,
weekend?
I'm going to see Purple Kiss.
Ah.
They're a different group that are super talented and deserved way better, but unfortunately they're disbanding at the end of this tour.
Damn. It's
Yeah,
kind of a
and that's just
farewell round that you want to miss
yeah,
out
which
on.
doesn't normally happen with K-pop groups. Normally, like, they just
Cut the cord.
stop.
Yeah,
They cut the
unceremonious, like,
cord.
we're done. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so really cool that they're doing this farewell tour. And it's really upsetting. It is just like, again, it's one of the examples of like what kind of sucks about the K-pop industry is that like groups can just like break up and unless there's like this whole thing of like if you have a group that you really like and they're not like in one of like 4 or 5 agencies,
Mhm.
you know feel free to support them. You should support them because they need the support more than most, but the likelihood of them sticking around for an extended period of time is very like hard.
Yeah.
So um yeah, so excited to see Purple Kiss and you on Saturday.
Ah.
And you, Kevin. Uh, and I'm excited. We're gonna check out. You've already went to it, but we're gonna check out the Seventh Heaven experience, which is gonna be cool. And yeah, I'm excited for a little 2-day trip in LA over the weekend. But yeah, so this week's episode, we've got some new stuff mentioned by Hamaguchi. He kind of just did like another round of interviews, it seems like, in response to, or just in regards to the Final Fantasy VII remake intergrade switch to release that's happening in December.
Yep.
And then we got some other interesting things to talk about as well. And then we also have Pokemon ZA thoughts. And then for topic of the show, we're gonna kind of take a dive into 2026 and talk about the things that really excite us or may not excite us, that kind of deal. So, but first, we're gonna get into some housekeeping. If you have been enjoying the show, please go to youtube.com/at partychatjrpgpod. Hit the subscribe button over there. Really helps us a lot. You can also go to your podcast service of choice. Give us a 5-star review. Helps get us exposure that way as well. Um, and then we do have a Patreon where we do have a few tiers that give you certain rewards, like getting access to our Discord, getting the episode a day early, our monthly Q&A episode, and our Campfire catalog, which is like our book club, which we're actually recording the episode on Lunar 1 and 2 this week. It was going to be last week, but unfortunately one of our guests had a family thing come up, so we had to push it back a week. So that should be up on Patreon soon. Really looking forward to talking about that. And then lastly, go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson and hit the subscribe button over there as we try to get Kevin to 1 million subscribers before the end of 2025.
Just 170K people need to do that in the next 2 months. What? No
Totally
biggie.
possible.
No biggie.
Totally
Totally
possible.
completely
It is.
within numerical possibility.
Yes, it is like factually possible. That's all I can say. Uh but yeah, so we're gonna get into the news. Um, we're gonna go through some of these interviews. The first one being with the gamer, and this is regarding the kind of determination on whether or not a new line Final Fantasy will be a like a real time game or a turn based game.
Sure.
So Hamaguchi said, quote, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16 are both action-based RPG designs, essentially for the Final Fantasy numbered series. The game design is based on the director's decision himself. For the new title, whether it's action or turn-based, that's not predetermined yet. Which, like, I think is interesting to a certain extent. And and part of it is kind of hard because there's just been such a wide timeline from like 13, right, which was like the last turn-based uh Final Fantasy release, to 7 remake or 16, where it's like, okay, like I believe you, but also like I don't know, I'm just kind of in this headspace that I'm expecting every Final Fantasy moving forward to be primarily, or if not completely, a real-time
Mhm.
game. and I hope I'm wrong,
Yeah.
right? Like I think a lot of Final Fantasy fans are just like, oh, like would really love you to return to turn based
Yeah.
and see what happens. And that doesn't even include 15 as well, right? I completely skipped on 15. Like, yeah, so that's like 3 games in a row where they're all real time action or just real or like the action turn based hybrid that remake does. So, what are your thoughts on that, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about this a couple times in terms of where we'd like to see Final Fantasy move forward, and I think the general vibe we've kind of landed on at the end is the idea that like, yeah, it feels like real time live action is like, or not live action, but like real time action is here to stay, and if we can kind of pull apart like the different styles, the 7 remake is what we kind of want to see more of, where yes, it's real-time action, but there are some interesting kind of RPG elements mixed in more so than like what we saw say in 16 or even 15 really. Um that said, uh yeah, one of the points they've gone back to, and this was something that was pushed a lot for why 16 was action focused, is that this idea that Final Fantasy is an experimental series and that it's kind of up to what the director and what the team wants to do. Like there is a vision, there is a goal. There's not necessarily a mandate of like this is what Final Fantasy is supposed to be. Therefore, it must be this. And so, with that in mind, right? Like if that really is the ethos, if that's like the center point of like what development starts as for a game, uh, then yeah, like maybe with the right director in place, maybe with the right uh, interest and looking at what's been happening more in the space lately, maybe turn based isn't really dead for the series. It's not necessarily going to be ATB like we saw in the like 4 through 9 days, or even the kind of stricter turn-based style that we saw in 10, but like some variant of that could still be on the table. I will say I still think the action gameplay is more likely just based on the trends. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm willing to like feel the idea that they're not entirely done with it, and I would love to see that happen. Like absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean I agree with you. Just it's just one of those things where don't give me hope when there's so little of it, I guess, because I just don't feel like that there's going to be there's how people feel about Expedition 33. Like I don't think that because of the Expedition 33's success, Square Enix should decide like, oh, we should go back to turn-based because look what they did there. I
Sure.
think that's a very specific example with a lot of specific parameters as to why Expedition 33 was a success. And being not from Japan is the number one thing I think for that. The westernized style of it. Um, and so like I want them to make a turn-based game more based off of a vision more so than following the trend of what consumers particularly want. And
Sure.
I know that that's not common nowadays, especially by a lot of major third parties. They want to play it safe because games are a super big investment nowadays. But that is just how I feel. And I think that um, in most to all cases, like people are going to show up. I think 16 was an interesting aspect when it came to uh, like units sold
Sure.
because of it being a PS5 exclusive for a long time. And then I think by the time it did hit PC, it kind of just like lost a lot of its anticipation for a non PS5 release,
Right.
which is unfortunate, but I don't think that has anything I don't I think that says more about like Square Enix's like, choices with how they wanted to make that game or like put that game on an exclusive console more so than the game itself.
Hmm.
Um I definitely think it's a game that like would have sold like that should have sold more,
Yeah.
considering we talk about how like 16 like didn't do a lot of things for us. I still think that game's really fun. Like I still had a great time with it.
Sure.
I don't think it's a bad game in any sort of the imagination. Um, and yeah, I just think that whenever it comes to whatever they do next, that they just decide, they just do what they want to do from a creative standpoint, more so of like thinking super in depth, which I know Square Enix does, on like, oh, what are the fans gonna think about this? What's the fans gonna think
Yeah.
about that? So
Yeah, but I mean, like, looking at Square Enix as a wider company, and again, this does also come down to like who is actually working on a potential 17. But like looking at Square Enix in the grand picture, it does feel like there has been a heavier shift lately in terms of like seeing support for turn-based games. I we've talked about this before. The idea that turn-based games haven't been around the last decade is silly and dumb. But when it comes to Square Enix, like yeah, you can kind of see where they maybe experimented away from it from their mainline games, but like there's still been a heavy push going on for the Dragon Quest titles and their remasters. Uh, we've been getting all those Team Asano games, which are all turn-based, except for the upcoming Elliot, which is a bit more of a Zelda-like kind of title. Um, and uh the trend is certainly there in general, I think, for like if they just want to chase trends, I don't think Expedition 33 is going to be like the sole thing that pushes that. But I do think that there is perhaps a greater awareness of like, okay, we thought wider audiences were like just wanting action titles, which is a thing that kind of pervades a few different major AAA companies. But we're getting enough strong selling examples where no, like these other genres act like can definitely work. Whether that's looking at something like Expedition 33 or, honestly, I think something that could be even a larger influence, even though it is a different style of turn-based game, Baldur's Gate 3, right? Like
yeah,
huge sales, huge success.
yeah,
For a style of RPG that I think many people would argue is significantly more niche. And there's a lot of reasons why Baldur's Gate 3 broke out the way it did. There is certainly a degree of investment and polish in that game that you don't get in that genre much these days. Also,
yeah,
way more budget and production value. Um, but also, those are the things that Square Enix brings to mainline Final Fantasy games in the first place. That's like the one default assumption, right? Is that they're going to be going a little harder on trying to like make it a big polished deal. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I feel like we're just going to be playing with this question and this thought until we just actually see what they reveal.
yeah, yeah. We'll see. Uh, Next is an interview with WCCF Tech. This is a little bit of a continuation, expansion on the game key card discussion, where he's talking about his thoughts on that. He says, quote, personally, I feel that the loading speed issue for the game cartridge is more about the hardware spec of the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not with Nintendo, so I can't really speak to that side. That said, I do feel that the game key card format that Nintendo created for the Nintendo Switch 2 is a really amazing new idea that they had offered for us. I personally don't see Nintendo working towards trying to improve the loading speed of the cartridges. Rather, I feel that Nintendo will put more effort into popularizing the game key card format, which again is a really fantastic idea for us developers. Also, we hope players familiarize themselves with what that costs them. That obviously is something we can help out with as well from the developer side. I think that the collaborative effort between Nintendo and publishers trying to promote the game key card will be the best way forward for players in the future. End quote. So there's two main things I like took away from this. The first one is that like obviously we do not like the game key card. We don't like it
We have made
just
our
from a
view on that fairly. Yeah,
yeah, we've made that very clear, and I think that most JRPG fans feel the same way. Um, but when he does talk about this issue, he is talking about it specifically from the developer side,
yeah,
and I do think that like removing my consumerism from it
sure,
on the developer side, what he says is valid. What he
yeah,
says makes a lot of sense. Um, and but I also just like wish he also recognized both sides of the issue, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sure.
where he does like, hey, I understand that like this does stop the physical release, proper physical release of some titles, which sucks, but that like it just recognizing like, hey, this is the reality that it is.
Yeah.
Um and you know, he is right that like if there wasn't game key card formats, there'd be certain games that like wouldn't get any sort of like proper like you know any sort of like physical type release at all. Like you know, we talked about it before, but like I'm gonna get the game key card for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade because just the game was too large to be on a 64 gigabyte cartridge.
Sure.
And yeah, there is an argument that they probably could have tried to get it under there. That's fair. I'm not a dev. I don't know how that shit like I'm not gonna know how that shit works in a real way, and that's just not the reality. And so like yeah, for that one I'll get the game key card because I know that that game is like over 100 gigabytes still on the Switch too. Um but I still think that they're just I you know, I still wish that there was just a bit more um just, you know, being transparent about both sides of the thing and that like there are still flaws with the game key card
Yeah.
and things like that. So,
Yeah, for sure. And then like I think we've touched on this a bit before too in the idea that like look, it's not like Nintendo introduced game key cards just because they wanted to piss off physical fans, right? Like there's a
yeah.
reason it was created. And a large part of that reason is it is an imperfect solution to a problem that doesn't really have a great solution. Like there's not an
Yeah.
obvious way to solve balancing out the required loading speeds, as well as the increased cost that comes with that for a cartridge type deal. Yeah, I think there is a part of me that does have this sort of hindsight 2020 thing where, and this is also, you know, armchair speculation at the end of the day. There might be other restrictions or limitations going on here that aren't occurring to me. Um, but you know, I kind of almost wish in retrospect that Nintendo had just gone with like having the ability to install things to local drives and use that as a
Yeah.
way to get around like that's how discs are still used, right? Like Blu-ray read speeds are awful compared to what we need now in like for games to actively run. And that's why like even when a game is complete on a disc, it doesn't install on your local drive for your Xbox or PlayStation. And so you know, there's a part of me that wishes Nintendo took that route more so for the Switch too, instead of just always running games directly off the carts, because that is really the big thing impacting it. Like that's why game key cards, or that's why non-game key cards are as expensive as they are. It's not the storage, it's the speed. It's what's required to make this thing work properly on the Switch. Um, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like there's a reason it exists. I understand that reasoning, and I get why, in particular, it's more appealing to devs. Um, and there's going to absolutely be a number of consumers who just don't care, right? Like, I think that's part of what that option is hinging on is that, like, they had to know they were going to get blowback from a certain
Yeah.
aspect of the audience. It's just, is that part of the audience large enough versus the rest for it to actually matter to them at the end of the day? Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Uh,
It,
and there's a second point that he makes in here that, or just like he just said a statement, and I'm just like, I kind of want to know what you mean by that.
yeah.
Where he says, also we hope players familiarize themselves with what that costs them. So is he like saying that, oh, because of game key cards, like Switch 2 releases of older games are going to be cheaper? Is that like what he's trying to say, or is he
I
like
think
I don't particularly understand like what he meant by that.
I think he means the costs that would come from like not taking this route in the sense of like, oh, like, you know, if we weren't doing it this way, you would be dealing with way longer loading times or games not getting any kind of physical release
Or
or
yeah, or just get a digital release or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
because that's the
think
thing
that's what
that
he's implying, but I'm not I agree. It's a little vague. I don't know if that's the
yeah.
translation or uh just, you know, him intentionally not elaborating. But that I agree that is a little like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, and again, we've talked about it at length before that yeah, if it's like game key card or no physical release, like then I mean, ultimately it's not that big of a difference. But You're giving me that look there.
I'm just curious. Like, where are you landing on this? Because I know my answer if I had that choice. But what's your answer?
I mean, so in general, if there like again, if there's a game that comes out, like Persona Reload, 3 Reload, right? I can talk about that this week. I've been dabbling with the Switch 2 version, and I'm not if I didn't get a code, I wouldn't have bought the game key card version. I would have bought it digitally. But
Yeah,
I would only bought it digitally because I know it's under 64 gigabytes and that they could have printed it on cards. That's like kind of like that is the deciding factor for me. But I still it's one of those things where in general, like not just for myself, but in general, like, do I want the game key card option to be an option over nothing at all, like over no physical? Probably, but I still just don't like that. I don't like the idea that that is going to be the norm.
yeah,
That is what I don't like about it.
yeah. Um, Honestly, if it was the one with, like, my finger on the button or whatever, I would have just preferred they just be straightforward and have digital only. I understand there are benefits that come with Game Key, like you can resell it, you can move it. But I also think that at the end of the day, it's something that's also a little confusing to some folks. And I think sometimes people don't understand like the limitations that are still inherent in a product like that. Like I think there's a lot of people who don't realize the fact that eventually these are paperweights, right? Like if there's no server to download the game from and you don't already have it installed, it does nothing. And that's not a thing that everyone necessarily even cares about, to be fair.
Mhm.
But I'm never a big fan of a product not being obviously what it is. Um, and I think that's something that GameKey cards run into. It's like with
That no, that's fair.
it's like this is a thing I've been talking about with people all lately is the whole this is an Xbox thing from Xbox. I know what Xbox is
Yeah.
talking about, and I know what they're trying to do with being like, no, don't you get it? This is an Xbox because of blah 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 blah, and it supports this. You could play your Game Pass games, but it's like that is so confusing to a regular consumer who's like, oh, cool, so I can play the games I bought on Xbox on this thing. And it's like, well, yes, but asterisk, it needs to be a play anywhere title. And it's like, what do you mean? Right? Uh, like that's confusing to a lot of people because, you know, a lot of people's understanding of what an Xbox is the hardware, the Xbox system itself, and that OS and that ecosystem. And so that's confusing. And so that's kind of how I feel about GameCube cards as well, where it's like, yeah, this is a physical and it comes with kind of all the benefits of a physical, but there are limitations and problems and things you need to be aware of outside of just simply you have to do the first install. Like these do have a shelf life in a sense. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Uh I I agree with you. I get what you're saying. Like, if you have the game key card and like eventually when those like servers go down, you're like, okay, time to insert all my game key cards and download the games and and make sure that they're on my system before the servers turn off. And like when the
Yep.
time comes, that's going to be a hassle. And again, I don't see myself like having a substantial library of game key cards when it's all said and done. Um, I mainly like am get like again the more than 64 gigabyte is a thing too, but the other part is just like I like my I want my I like my physical Final Fantasy games on my shelf and like things like that.
Yeah,
There's like a collector like a
sure.
physical
You like
aspect to
having
it
a
as well.
totem. Like I get it. Like that's a thing
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
People like
yeah,
having a shelf. Like I
yeah,
absolutely understand that like compulsion. Yeah.
yeah. So cool. Next story.
Oh, I do want to
Mm,
highlight one random thing too, real quick. Um,
yes.
I just kind of want to like lightly praise the fact that Hamaguchi talks to as many people as he does. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like in general, it just from what I've heard from other people that work in more traditional media and like coverage, it's kind of a pulling teeth situation when it comes to a lot of Japanese devs. And I feel like
Yes.
I've seen more interviews and insights come from Hamaguchi directly than I have for really any other like active production Japanese developer. Like I just like I feel like it's always crumbs, and this man is just telling people stuff left and right. I think I don't know if this was on our docket to talk about, but there was also the whole thing about like wanting to do DLC for Rebirth and then deciding against it because they want to get to Game 3 sooner. Um, like that's just like I feel like that's stuff we would never learn from a lot of other devs, and certainly not while things are in production. Uh, so I don't know. I just think it's cool that like he's actually talking to people.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's like a thing where he kind of recognizes that the old guard at Square Enix doesn't really do that, and he thinks that's just like something that needs to be changed. Like that's something that he wants to change as he's like, rising up in Square Enix, which is really great, right? Like we hardly hear anything from Nomura. Like Katase only really says things when he like needs to. Um yeah, and like outside of Hamaguchi, it's really Yoshi P, who like while he is like a little bit older, he is still kind of considered as a part of that newer guard
Yeah.
of Square Enix people. So yeah, I think that's a very fair and like just accurate depiction of like what's going on with him. So and I do appreciate it as well. Again, like I haven't really gotten to talk to him in a real way, but I got to meet him at the Game Awards last year very shortly, and he seemed like a very cool dude. So yeah, so yeah, the story you were going to mention, that is the next thing.
Hey,
um yeah, so he's basically talking about considering DLC for Rebirth and decided to focus on finishing part 3 as soon as possible, but said that there might be DLC for the third installment. He said, quote, this is also with WCC F Tech. Quote, there were definitely some ideas to create a Rebirth DLC, and that was the plan at a certain point in time. But when we revisited this topic and we thought about what our priorities should be and what the fans are looking forward to the most, we figured what fans want the most is to bring the third installment as soon as possible. That would take priority over the Rebirth DLC, so we decided to take that approach. With that being said, once we release the third installment, there is a possibility of having a DLC for that third installment. With the conclusion of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, there's probably going to be a much wider audience for Final Fantasy as a whole. Whether we bring a new DLC or a full title, that's something we're actively considering, end quote. So,
Dirge of Cerberus remake, baby. No, look, look. You go with what you were with. Yeah, sorry.
well, I was gonna say like, no, you say your thing because I'm kind of like Cap. I don't believe I don't believe
I
you.
think look, if there is any individual Final Fantasy that is, the having the greatest notoriety and spin-offs, et cetera, it's Final Fantasy VII, right? And
Yeah,
we've seen them expand on multiple Final Fantasy games in the past with multiple titles. And I think what this implies to me is that I think an assumption a lot of people had about the remake trilogy is that the remake trilogy was its own kind of thing, and like, hey, we're making a remake trilogy. We're gonna make one, two, and three, and like, there you go, we remade seven. And this to me gives the vibe and energy of like, I mean, we just might have more stuff spawn off of this as well. Like maybe there is another remake that's done in this remake timeline. Maybe there is just a entirely brand new spin-off game that takes place in this version of events. Um, it's similar to how we got, the remaster of Crisis Core, which, doesn't entirely tie into the remakes, but it also kind of does. And like, it's no mistake that game came out before Rebirth,
yeah,
Um, I think this gives the idea that like, hey, whatever you want to call the third remake game, that's not necessarily like done, finished, wash your hands, and we're not touching this like line of games ever again. I think it's that like, yeah, like we just might keep doing seven remake stuff. Like this is its own behemoth that's growing now.
yeah. I personally, I think that I'm not saying like I'm against them doing a like a for example a Dirge of Cerberus remake or like a remake that's like a spin-off of a Final Fantasy VII title, But I think when it comes to like that core story, uh, I think that they should just release the third installment and be done with it. Like, I don't think that there should be a DLC after. I think that would be really weird. Um,
I think it
I
depends on
think
what form it takes, right? Like,
no, I think it would
no,
be really weird no matter what. It needs
e
to be like it needs to be over by
even if
the
it
end by the
well,
credits roll.
I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be like an intermission style, like this takes place after or like they could just add more things to play during the main game section, right? Like especially if there's any degree of like non-linearity to it. Like imagine if Rebirth got DLC that didn't that wasn't like a standalone DLC or an after, credit story, but was just like, "Oh, if you go to this zone, there's like a new thing you can do."
I I think that'd be a little bizarre. I think that like just kind of how that story is like structured and how everything plays out, like it would just be weird to me to be like, "Hey, you saved the world, but come back and do like this new DLC content."
I
Like
mean,
I think there's a different like I guess like I would compare it to like Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Kingdom Hearts 3 is the end of the Xehanort saga. They had the DLC, and really what that was like, hey, we're gonna do the ending that we really wanted to do but didn't have time for. And then we're going to add the data battles. And the data battles like canonically is like Riku going to the the Final Fantasy 7 gang, and he like they basically like use a data version of Sora to
right.
fight these characters. I'm like, that's cool because that makes sense and that fits the story, and like it
Yeah,
doesn't, we know that the story is continuing to an extent. With Final Fantasy 7, when you're having this like granular epic finale, and it's been like such this like ongoing project for like the past decade and a half. I just don't I just think the idea of adding some sort of DLC after just is weird to me.
mhm,
And I think that was one of the strengths of Rebirth, is that Rebirth came out, it was complete.
sure.
And it didn't, there wasn't like outside of like, a PS5 Pro patch and like things like that, there wasn't anything substantial that was like, hey, come back to this and do this now. Because, again, a lot of the times nowadays, it's just like, why was that just not a part of the game at launch?
Sure. Um, I mean, I guess here's what I'm equating it to, right?
Okay.
FF16. 16 got two DLC stories that both take place before the ending of the game.
And I don't
And
like that.
yeah, but like I guess what I'm saying is they've done that before, and I can absolutely see them doing it again. And it doesn't necessarily have to be core plot things. Like FF7 already has so many spin-offs and so many other things they could address and just throw in for cameos. Like what's just like intermission, for instance, right, was a way to sneak in one of the bad guys from Dirge of Cerberus. What's to
Yeah.
stop them from doing a similar thing with a random DLC side story that's like, hey, we're just gonna throw some fun references to Angeal. We're gonna throw some references to like this stuff that's in like the greater Final Fantasy VII like world. Uh,
And, and my thought process of that is like the story's ending. We don't do it. Like like if you were going to do it, you should have done it during Rebirth.
yeah.
Or you should have done it as a DLC with Rebirth.
Look, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the idea that like, yeah, I would prefer to just have a finished game right out of the gate. I'm just saying that that's literally how so many games have worked now, and I'm not surprised at all if seven, whatever three you want to call it, did that. And
Oh,
like that's how they
I'm
would go
not
about
gonna
doing
be surprised. I'm never gonna be surprised by it. I just don't want it. Like,
it.
I just don't want that to happen. Because I just think that it is a kind of way that developers have gotten too comfortable with when it comes to releasing games, and I just don't like that. I want, especially with JRPGs, like, no, I want your game to be complete.
Yeah.
um you know Having like random ass features that don't have to do with gameplay and adding those later, that's fine, I don't care about that. But like when it comes to the story and the mechanics, I want it to be game complete. Um most of the time, like again,
Mhm.
like I didn't mind the Yuffie stuff because the Yuffie was its own thing. And there, you needed to find a new way to introduce her based off the original. and that was all perfectly fine to me and made sense. And like again, I'm surprised with Rebirth they didn't do anything with like Vincent or Sid, um, because I still feel like that there's a lot of game left, a lot of story left in part three, and we don't know. We Sid and Vincent ended as like the two characters that, yeah, they're here, but they're not like a part of the party or anything
Sure.
like that. And it's like,
Yeah. It was like Red 13 at the end of 7 Remake.
yeah, that's like one of my biggest fears about part three is like, I don't know how y'all are wrapping this up in seemingly 35 hours.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I have
Like
no idea how you're
no,
doing
and
that.
that's a big question mark in general. Like that's yeah, like I mean, we're clearly not getting, I mean, we already have not been getting one to one, but like we're definitely not getting one to one everything else that happens in 7 because there's no way to do that at the same pace they've been doing everything else unless they really decided to like not dive into like expanding the scope of things like they have so far. Cuz we are effectively done with disc 1. And we have a whole
Yeah,
game left. So,
yeah, exactly. And like, we have Rocket Town, we have Wu Tai, like, that alone is like 10 hours
yeah.
probably. Like, you
Well,
know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we skipped the original Wutai visit. Like, it was optional
yeah,
in the
but
original game too, but
yeah, it was optional in the first one, and like we've gone out of order already.
yeah.
Like that's Wu Tai's gonna be in the game. Wu Tai
Oh,
is
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. No, Wutai's
yeah,
gonna
it's
come
gonna
out,
be
yeah.
in, yeah. So it's just like we have. It feels like that there's so much story left, and I'm like, y'all are doing all this in a single, because again, like outside of Dragon Quest and like the more traditional RPGs that they make, they don't really like making games past like 35 to 40 hours, which is understandable. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know how you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how especially like where with all the stuff with Zach that we still don't really fucking know
Yeah.
what's going on with that.
I
Like,
mean, I've also been of the opinion before that, like, I don't think I think there's room for especially this third one to like go more off the rails and not just be like we're gonna retread all the things that happened in the original. Um, but that's a whole other that's a whole other episode and speculation and like what form that game could take.
yeah, we will just have to wait until we see more of the game, because that's definitely fair. I think it would be a little odd just because they've already done like we've gotten a vibe of like what they're doing for the past two games, so they decide like, all right, now we're really going like off the wall, anything's possible. Like you kind of promised that in the first game, and then you didn't do that.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I sorry if I feel a little bit um unsure about your words.
Sure. But
Um,
we don't know what they're pitching yet, so we'll see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see. That's all. Yeah, that's all hypothetical. Uh, Next story. Nintendo aims to make 25 million Switch 2s to set gaming history. This is a article from Bloomberg, um, where Nintendo has asked suppliers to produce as many as 25 million units of the Switch 2 by the end of 2026. This would set the company up for record first year sales of a console that's already reached high watermarks for the global gaming sector. Um, basically they're ideally trying to uh, sell 200 million units by the end of the fiscal year, and they're they're like hoping for it to be 25 million, if I'm reading this correctly. um so what are your thoughts on this, Kev? That seems like a lot.
That's a lot. Look, Switch 2 selling well. Nintendo striking while the iron's hot. I think there's also maybe a bit of a need to try and get as many out. Like I think, look, especially with the West market right now, I think there is a constant impending fear of how things and conditions might change because I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's been a little volatile for reasons. So I do wonder if part of it is like the audience is having a little like, oh shit, we should buy these like while they're what they are. And if Nintendo's like, oh shit, we should get these over there while people will buy them at this price. uh, and like meet that demand as much as possible before conditions change further. Um, Also, just in general, I mean, Switch was a massive success. There's a ton of energy coming out of that, lots of energy going into Switch 2. And as more first party exclusives drop, there's going to be more people who are like, all right, I'm finally going to buy one, right? Uh, not like, not that the JRPG audience is the absolute largest and biggest chunk of people out there, but I know many who are like, oh yeah, I'm not buying a Switch 2 until like Fire Emblem drops, or we get some solid Xenoblade news. Um, yeah, so there's plenty more people out there willing to buy systems, and the demand has certainly been high enough for the supply we've gotten so far. So I think Nintendo's just really trying to like give it the all right now, and even going above what I think in regular marketing conditions would seem a little too aggressive. But right now, it's like, hey man, let's just get these out while we can, because we don't know if we're gonna have to raise prices on them again. We don't know what it's gonna cost to even like get them released in certain territories. Uh, get it while it's going.
Yeah. Uh, it's cool. Like, I hope, sell the things, make the money, I guess. That's all I can really say about it. I am a little surprised that it's selling this, like, even with the logic of like, oh, because the market is so bad, or because the economy is so bad,
Right.
uh, people are like still buying it. Like, I still think that that's pretty crazy and like interesting to me. So, as someone who's like, oh yeah, I should buy a PS5 Pro before the price goes up, and then the price went up.
Yep.
Which makes me feel even stronger about it now. Where I'm just like,
Yeah.
I should really pick this up before the price goes up again.
Yeah.
Um,
Which like PS5 Pro is a bit of a different situation though, right? Because it's like that doesn't open up any library. It's not like you're ever stopped from playing a
no,
game. Whereas Switch 2,
no,
it's like, hey, like yes, you can play ZA on a Switch, and you can play Metro Prime 4 when it comes out on a regular Switch. But like, oh, did you want to play Bonanza? Did you want to play Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave? Did you want to play like any game that is exclusive to Switch 2? Like, there's a little bit of that
yeah,
higher like, oh, if I want to be able to like access this growing library. There's a heavier push there, right? Like the PlayStation 5 Pro, at the end of the day, all you're missing out on is, you know, 4K 60 and potentially modes that are not as balanced as they should be. So,
yeah. And on top of that, like, based off of some other stories that came out, it seems like we're looking at a 2027 release for the PS6,
yeah,
which just does not feel real to me.
seven
Like,
years, man.
but like,
7 years.
but nothing has happened on the PS5. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just feels like such a transitional generation.
They canceled a ton of games that were in development. They had a messed up start with COVID, and this generation in general has kind of been a mess for first party companies.
It's not even first party though. Like, I feel like I just got my PS5. Like, in general. And now you're saying that the PS6 is coming out?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking
To
crazy.
be
Like,
fair, they're not saying it is. They're not pushing that marketing yet. Um, but like, dude, like 7 years, man. Like that's just what like that's a fairly healthy average for system generation. And part of the problem too, right, is that we're seeing the diminishing returns of like, look, man, tech is just getting more and more expensive, and the gains from like getting the best of the best isn't what it was back in the day when you had those leaps before. Like, and we see it with every gen leap, right? Like going from PS2 to PS3, then PS3 to PS4, and then 4 to 5. It's like, yeah, things got better, but like not like we saw it happen the generation previous. uh,
yeah, all I'm saying is that the PS5 era, and I mean, like, to a lesser degree, but still, so the Xbox Series era, it feels like a blur.
yeah,
It feels like nothing substantial happened. It feels very transitional, in a way that I don't think I've ever experienced before. And yes, sure, part of it could probably be because games take longer to make. Um, but yeah, like, if I look at my PS4 physical library versus my PS5, and that's like on in the PS5, I'm also like including, like, I've also bought like every first party game physically as it's come out. my PS4 library blows it out of the water. Like
Yeah.
it's so much significantly bigger. Um and that's the thing that like really confuses me is that like because I still buy like certain like JRPGs on PS5, even if they're on Switch. Like one of the things that just happened before the uh podcast started is that they announced that they canceled the Xbox release of Tales of Xillia in the EU. There wasn't one in the US at all. And so now I'm like, well, shit, I got to get a physical on PS5 now instead of Xbox. And now that I have to do that, I'm going to retroactively get a PS5 copy of every other remaster that's come out. So I'm going to get the PS5 for Grace's F. I'm going to get the uh Symphonia and Vesperia and like all that stuff cuz like, you know, all those games, like all the PS4 era games, those are only physical on PS4. Like it's just like all these aspects to it that just kind of create this one big, I guess, narrative of my head that just like I just don't have a pretty significant PS5 library. Um that the idea of this generation ending in 2 years, seemingly, or at least transitioning, in 2 years, just seems really weird to me, and, like, I don't like, do you think that the PS6 is going to be able to play PS5 games, or do you think they're just gonna have they're gonna cut it off?
I'd be very surprised at this point, if that happened. Like if they cut it off, that would be very surprising to me. Especially because we've hit a point in system hardware where it's really just iterative, right? We're relying on same or similar architectures time and time again. Switch 2 is a specific kind of weird situation. Um, but I think forwards compatibility is something that a lot more companies have in mind. And I find it very unlikely that we're going to get like a PS6 and a new Xbox system that just like don't support the previous ones. Uh,
What do you what about, PS4?
yeah,
You think they'll play PS4 or PS5 games?
Yeah, again, there's not been a significant enough shift in like the reason why PS3 is the cutoff isn't because PS3 is old. It's because PS3 used a very specific, bizarre hardware configuration involving a cell processor that no one wanted to develop for in the first place outside of Sony themselves, and like it's a headache to emulate and to get running on other hardware. That's why PS3 backwards compatibility is the mess it is. It's not just simply that it's old; it's because of what it was designed for, and that's why you see like 360 be so much more readily back compat now, because it was easier getting those games to update and run on like the systems we're using because it is a more similar hardware. So yeah, like I would be very surprised if back compat to like 4 didn't exist at that point. Like I feel like we've hit a point where consoles moving forward, unless there is again some kind of huge shift. Honestly, I actually think the biggest problem is that we could see these games still supported digitally, but not necessarily have disc readers. I think that's a bigger threat than straight up back compat.
Okay. Uh Okay, well that like you saying that makes me because honestly I think you're genuinely pretty spot on with like these kind of predictions with the tech side of things on that. And that was something that I am worried about because like I still have a PS4 because I have like my Kingdom Hearts 3
Sure.
PS4 Pro.
Yeah, I got
Like
PT
when the P
installed. I'm never losing it.
yeah, like when the P I mean, good on you. When it comes to like the PS5, like when the PS6 goes out, it's just like here you go. Like I have no reason to keep this console.
Sure.
And like to me that kind of like I don't know, like cuz I don't want to compare it to like a kind of like like the phone kind of system where it's like all right, I'm trading in my old phone for a new phone, but
Yeah.
that's kind of what it seems like consoles are going to be moving forward
Yeah.
in a much more um weird feeling way where it's just like,
When
okay, because because again, I'm a physical collector. Like, I want to I want to like have a reason to like have my PS5 still, but if I don't need a reason, like I don't have like a special PS5 that I really care about, it's like, all right, here you go.
Yeah. I mean, look, especially starting with the PS4 and Xbox One era. Um, the line between gaming PCs and gaming consoles blurred quite a bit. Like, sure, there's the actual platforms and how they're marketed, etc. But like the underlying tech is just so similar now that like it's just iterating on having better and better hardware. It's not like they're changing the entirety of like how the system operates. Um, and so because of that, we're seeing those kind of replacements. And they're like, really, like, there's not a reason to keep a PS4 with PS5 existing, other than again, if you have PT installed. Um,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
like
That's
an
true.
Xbox One and Series systems, there's zero reason to keep an Xbox One if you have a Series system. It is a like full blown replacement that is, they even updated the UIs to be the same across them, which is kind of silly. Um, yeah, man. The line is blurred of what exactly a console is, and it does raise questions of like what we're going to see them be doing moving forward. But I would not be surprised. I would be surprised if we like suddenly didn't have back and pat to at least this far back moving forward, unless we had some kind of major tech shift that these systems adopted. I'm not going to say that every system moving forward from now on is forever going to be back and pat with PS4 moving ahead. Um, but it would require, I think, a pretty major change in hardware for that to occur.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of consoles, um, this is an article from The Verge. Apparently, the Xbox Dev Kit is increasing its price from 1.5K to $2,000. Microsoft says, quote, the adjustment reflects macroeconomic developments. We remain committed to providing high quality tools and support for your development efforts.
Oh, those
So,
macroeconomic developments. Well, it's like,
yeah,
look, it's not that it's an inaccurate statement. It's just the most like, yeah, it's just a PR like grand way of hand waving. Like, yeah, man, everything's more expensive and like shit sucks right now. And also, Microsoft needs us to keep recouping what we invested in buying Activision. Uh, like, it's yeah, man. I guess they had to match all the systems going up for consumers too. Why should devs save money?
yep. That's kind of, I guess, this is more of a quickie, but I was just like, well,
Yep,
things are bad, and it's bad, everybody.
yep. Macroeconomic
Um,
conditions, man. Hell of a drug.
Now, this is probably the most interesting thing uh, that came out this week. But it's just statistics, and I really want to dive into this. So this is only based off the UK, but I still think it can be representative of a bigger thing. So in the UK, Pokemon Legends Z-A sold 86,000 copies during its first 3 days. 51% of those units were sold on the Switch 2, 49 on the Switch 1. Um, Now to put this into perspective of the uh of every mainline Pokemon game since Sun and Moon, it has been that is the weakest like first 3 days since Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon
Mm,
on the 3DS
mhm.
by like a pretty significant amount. To put, I'm just gonna read down the list just to put things in perspective. So,
Yeah, and this is
Pokemon
for the first
ZA
3 days. Is that the
first 3 days.
first 3 days? Okay.
Pokemon Legends ZA 86,000 units. Scarlet Violet 236,000 units. Legends Arceus 144,000 units. Uh, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl 145,000 units. Sword and Shield 191,000 units. Let's Go Pikachu Eevee 116,000 units. Ultra Sun and Moon 78,000 units, and Sun and Moon 290,000 units. That's super interesting to me. Just like how Legends EA just seemingly isn't doing hot like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's all
Um,
kinds of reasons why this can be. Um, it could be because of everything else coming out in the same month, and maybe people are just buying alternatives. Uh, it could just be the fact that a lot of people don't care as much for a spin-off title, and like Arceus kind of, was a more exception to that because it felt like a big push towards something. Oh, the new information.
I just want to clarify that this is based off physical sales.
Oh, there you go. That's a large part of it then. Yeah, because physical's just been dying off more and more every year. So like, especially compared to like Sun and
Well, like
Moon, and like
literally,
the 3DS ones.
yeah, but literally Scarlet and Violet, you know, like what, almost 3 times? No, yeah, almost 3 times
Yeah,
as successful.
yeah, but it's a mainline. Like, I absolutely see there being more people wanting to buy a new mainline game than a spin-off title. As much as we like the idea of the Legends series more, like
Well, I didn't say that, but
I like the Legends
I
series
don't
more. No
I
problem.
don't know how I don't know how like I feel two different ways about it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if I could say for certain as of yet how I would feel about that.
That's fair.
Um,
Um, yeah, I guess, and I'm not going to say that it's just the physical thing, but that absolutely is a contributor to why the numbers are lower than
sure,
some of the
of
older
course.
titles. But yeah, I think being the second line of a spin-off game. I also think, honestly, at least based on chatter and people I've talked to, it seems like the concept of this one is not as appealing to a lot of people. I think the exploration and kind of like different setting aspect of Arceus got a few more people like, oh, like that's a neat thing. And I think the more battle focus of the storyline in ZA isn't really rubbing quite as many people quite the same way. Um, I think there's just general
Mm,
excitement for like a new Pokemon, but I think it's not quite as wide reaching of a pitch.
interesting. I I think every like outside of it being in the present or like in the like close future, I think everything about the pitch of this game is more interesting than Arceus for me.
Oh yeah, well, I'm like the hard opposite of that.
And I think that in general,
We'll
it's
talk about this
just
when we get to what we've been playing because like we both have been
yeah,
playing it.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. We'll talk about it more.
yeah.
But okay. Yeah,
Um,
I think it's fascinating and I'm curious to see like how it's going to continue selling because there is like I don't know, there's like part of the internet that's like, oh, you can't or like, oh, we shouldn't be buying if you're buying the Pokemon game, you're just like a cog in the machine and
no,
you're just like,
no,
that
that's a
whole
whole
bullshit.
stupid. Yeah, that's a whole stupid thing, and
Like,
we can touch
and
on that.
we talked about it like last week that like there is a like a level of truth that like if you keep buying the games that you are you think that have like major ongoing criticisms that aren't being addressed, like they're not going to make those changes.
Sure.
It's likely unless they want to just based off their own volition.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you just can't. You don't buy the game because you don't want to. Like that. If you don't want to buy the game because of that, sure. But like telling other people you're stupid because of that, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and it's also funny because in this particular example, the game looks and runs like great. Like I get it. I
Yeah,
got it for Scarlet Violet because it's like that game runs terribly. We need to send a message about that. This game's great, and people are making up in their heads that it's somehow this awful looking thing, and it's like, no, this is a different situation.
it's like the Switch 2 version of Scarvi. It's really good. Next story. Game Informer has revealed that Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is their next cover story. So we should be getting some cool news for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined soon. Boy, I want that game to be delayed. I'm just gonna say it right now. I need that game to be delayed because like here's the thing. Well, no, like okay, because here's the thing. So right now I'm playing embargoed game can't talk about.
Oh, it's more that you just don't want
Oh, I
like
don't have the
no.
time, dog. Like, yeah,
Okay.
because the thing is, like, I want to be ready. I want to be ready and caught up on Dragon Quest when this game comes out. Like when like assuming we get a code probably in January. I don't I need more time because
You
right
you only have
now I
one
am.
more left,
Hold on,
right?
no,
You finished
no,
5?
no. I am playing. I have embargoed game I can't talk about.
Yeah.
Then there's Pokemon, Dragon Quest 1 and 2. Uh, and then and then I need to finish 5 and then play all the way through 6. And on top of that, Trails comes out in January.
And on top of that, Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, and on top of that, Legend of Dragoon and Omori. I don't have the time to play these games, dog. So, yes, I want this game to be delayed so that I have more time to catch up before it comes out. I need more time because I want to play these games in order. I understand it's a remake, blah 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 blah, but like I want to play them in order, and yeah, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. Um, that sucks. I'm happy that obviously like I'm happy that it's coming out and stuff like that. But I if they did like a 2 month delay, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. But yeah, so that's coming soon. Some other quickies that's worth mention. Oh, actually, no. There's one more big story. We're talking. They're talking about Persona 3 Reload. Um, Nintendo Life did an interview with some of the staff there. Um, Kazuhisa Wada, P Studio director and general producer, as well as Yoshihiro Komori, the director of the Switch port, as well as Azusa Shimada, the character artist on 3 Reload, talking about the Switch 2 version. They talk about a few things I think that's worth mentioning. They talk about the frame rate issues that are on the Switch 2, which you know, again, I've played a little bit of the Switch 2 version, um, just like the full game, and those rate issues are still there. I don't think it's like for me personally, because I think that when it comes to frame rate stuff, it's kind of a person by person
Different people have different tolerances
thing.
for it, certainly.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I think that like once uh you know, you can tell like pretty much from go that like, oh, there's a slight visual downgrade. You know, it is a little framey, but nothing that like I'm just like, oof, this is not
Yeah,
playable. Like I wouldn't, you know, I would play through that entire game on the Switch too, like
sure.
with little issue. But it's cool that you know, so they basically confirm saying that they're going to fix this in future patches, which is cool. Um, and then they also talk about the Phantom MC a little bit. If
Bless
I
Xeon
can,
for asking the questions that matter.
yes, 100%.
Which, by the way,
So
very random side tangent, but Xeon, friend of the show, if you guys are Patreon members, you probably heard our Chrono Trigger talk with him. I think this is his last article with Nintendo Life.
yes,
This is his
yeah, he's
final piece.
leaving Nintendo Life, but we still don't know what he's doing yet, I believe. So,
Uh, I know what he's doing next. I don't know how public it is yet. So yeah,
oh, okay,
he is, yeah, he's moving on to cool stuff. I'm excited to see what he's doing next.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So basically, they say Wada says specifically, "quote When it comes to whether or not we are able to represent her in this game, though it saddens me to have to say this, the answer for Persona 3 Reload would be no. As developers, we have absolutely no intention of neglecting her, but this heartbreaking decision was made after much deliberation. We have a mission to continue working on various new games as well." If asked what we feels remains unfinished in the context of Persona 3, this would be undoubtedly one of those things. However, we are working together as a team to develop various initiatives for future endeavors, and we hope you will look forward to what lies ahead. Thank you for your understanding. Hope? Is this hope?
Persona 3 Reload, where it's only FemC route. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it'd be cool to use the character. I mean, this could just be them talking about how for all the big crossover games, they'll keep using her because like she showed up in Q2 and like some of the other titles. But yeah, it'd be cool to like have the FemC route given justice and like a proper release or something. I don't know. It kind of just sounds like they want to keep the door open, but there's nothing to really like. Yep, didn't make sense to try and make it fit in Reload. Not gonna happen. But who knows? Maybe something else later.
Mm. But yeah, because I'm just like, what? Because like Persona hasn't done major like spin-offs involving just the Persona 3 cast, or like, you know what I mean? Like we have the Persona 5 like Tactica, right? Like
Yeah.
I would say like that was like the big, like the one really big spin-off like Strikers, like you can call it spin-off because it's not turn-based RPG, but that is a straight up sequel
Yeah,
to Persona 5.
it is.
So it's just like we haven't really gotten a like Persona spin-off of that caliber that you're talking about in a really
Uh,
long time.
the last one was what, when they did 5 and 3 Dancing All Night? And that was like 2018, 19.
Yes. That or
Actually, no.
Q2.
No, Q2's older. Uh,
I know it's older, but it's like
Dancing in Moonlight came out. Oh no, 2020. Oh, wait, 2018. There we go. Yeah. So 7 years ago. And then yeah,
yeah,
like
I
Q2,
mm,
and then we haven't had a new fighter yet, which was a sequel to 4, but
this is the one situation where like I'm pro re-release. Like updated re-release, get the FMMC. I will 100% play the game again. Do
yeah.
it.
I
Like
it would be interesting if they just released it as its own thing and it's almost like a version difference where it's like, yeah, just buy the FemC version of Persona 3 Reload. It's a whole other game. Yeah, there's other changes
do it.
maybe. They like take even greater liberties because there's some pretty big changes that happened in the FemC route. But they
Yeah.
could take it even farther with like a dedicated remake where like that's the goal. Look,
Like
man,
if they did like a $30 like DLC or something like that, where it's just like,
I
here's the FMMC route.
no, the way he words this and the way they're talking about this, I feel like the ship has sailed for having it be connected to 3 Reload at all. I feel like it would have to be an entirely new standalone release.
I mean, that's fine with me too. I don't know what it'll be called, but
Yeah. And look,
I
this is 100% like hopium copium right now. Like
yes,
this
yes,
is
yes, yes.
like that is the most generous, aggressive, like wish way of reading what he's saying.
Yeah.
Um I yeah. I'd like to see, something happen for that, but we'll see. I feel like they're leaving the door open, but I don't think it's a current priority.
Yeah. Um cool. Well, we have a few more quickies.
Big
Um
news week, turns out.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
we're just talkative
Uh
about it at least.
yeah. Simu Liu confirms that the script of the live action Sleeping Dogs movie is done. Um Majima from the Like a Dragon series is the final guest villain for Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
Called that shit.
Um, you did. Uh, he is joining Dr. Eggman and Death Adder. Sakurai, Masahiro Sakurai, is going to be hosting another roughly 60 minutes Kirby Air Riders Kirby Air Riders Direct.
This man
It's
cannot
gonna
be
be
stopped.
yeah, it's gonna be out by the time this podcast airs publicly. So if you didn't know that there's another Air Riders Direct, there is one now, and we'll talk about what's worth talking about next week on it. Witchbrook, the anticipated indie RPG, has been delayed to 2026. The dev made an announcement saying, Witchbrook is a big project and it's taking shape exactly as we hoped, full of charm, depth, and detail. In our first blog, we shared our goal to create a living, breathing world for you to explore, and as we bring all those elements together, we're taking the time needed to ensure the world feels rich, immersive, and alive. End quote. And that's the news for this week. Um, Now we're gonna get into what we've been playing. Pokemon.
Pokemon. How far are you? Based on something you said last night, I feel like you're pretty early on stuff.
Incredibly early. Incredibly
Okay.
early. Okay, here's the thing. Incredibly early, but still somehow like 3 hours in. Like
No,
it
the tutorial. Like, look, if I have one real criticism, like I overall am really liking ZA. I have a few like, oh, maybe like I think I would prefer whatever. My only real like negative criticism so far is the opening like tutorialization stuff goes on for so long. There's so much railroading at the start of this game, and there's gonna be a lot of parts where you're just like, can I just go like to a zone now? Like what? It's actually very funny too, because the moment you hit the point where you're allowed to kind of just do what you want, it kind of happens unceremoniously. Like it's just like, oh hey, you should go do this next, and suddenly you're allowed to like ignore it though. like they don't really tell you like it's opening up now. They just kind of hit a point where they stop stopping you from leaving.
yeah, I'm still basically going through tutorials and I'm almost near 3 hours in and I'm just like, stop.
Yeah,
Like, please stop. Let me just run around and explore. And yeah, it's a lot of setup.
it's a lot.
That being said, there's some interesting stuff in that setup that I'm very curious about. Where um, like in the story specifically, like we know about the ZA stuff, and we know that like the train, like the goal of like your group is to like better the lives of like the harmony between trainers and Pokemon, that type of thing. But then you like run into a different group, and their whole thing is like, if you really love Pokemon, you should just let them roam free. And I like think that there is some like really interesting philosophical, like political, um, like topics and discussions that are happening in the context of the Pokemon world,
Hmm.
already in the game. And I know that like the Kalos region in general, like back in X and Y, like had a history of a lot of like these kind of engagements that I'm it's cool that they're kind of continuing this on
Hmm.
in this game.
Yeah, keeping that theme
Um
alive when it's the same region. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's cool. Um like in general, like I enjoy exploring the world so far, and like I think the rooftop stuff is already a little bit more not intricate, but just uh more expansive than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
um, which is cool. But then there's like stuff where it's just like, oh yeah, there's a cafe and you pay to basically pose with your Pokemon and take pictures. Like, okay, like, do I? Why do I have to pay to be able to sit down like that? Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little odd. And yeah, like I mean, overall, I'm enjoying it for sure. I'm happy I got my Totodile back. I got Totodile back, and then I caught an Abra because Alakazam's in my Canon 6. um and that's cool, but I'm still like very early to really say much more. But I think that ultimately we were talking, because we were talking about it earlier about we seem to be on like a little bit different pages of like ZA versus Arceus. And I will say that like from the people that I some of the people that I talked to that have been playing through ZA, like they also prefer Arceus. And I do think that there's certain aspects to it as to why like people feel that way. Like, I think that game was like kind of announced at the perfect time, like a post Breath of the Wild, where people were just like, they're Breath of the Wilding Pokemon, like let's
Sure.
go. Um, and I just think, but I do think for myself, like when that game eventually came out, um, and normally I don't care that much about it, but like the performance really like did a number for me.
Yeah.
Um, and the visually, it was just rough to look at. Like, um, and I just think that, and just in general, I just kind of got to the point where it's just like, ah, this is kind of the whole game, huh? Like this is really all that's going on. And then like the combat system with like the strong or was it strong
Or
or
fast or whatever. Yeah.
agile
Yeah.
style?
Agile and strong. I
Yeah, it's
think.
like
Yeah.
that like really didn't add a real layer to the combat in the way that I think that ZA is.
Sure.
Um yeah, it like Arceus felt like a neat proof of concept for
Yeah.
me. And like while I do think that I'm curious as to how I'm going to feel about how restrictive the map is going, it like may or may not be in ZA once I get further along. Right now it's just like, yeah, I just think that this game is better in every way because it's just, enhancing upon, and like the systems are just more interesting.
Sure. Well, I think okay, to get in the space of like this versus Arceus, my earlier point was that I like the pitch of Arceus more. I think in terms of
Oh, sure.
execution, there's a lot of things that ZA does better right away. Like that's no question. It is a fantastic looking game. It runs better, including on the regular Switch, by the way. Like I ran it on my OG Switch for a bit just to check it out, and I was like, oh, like this seems more solid than what we were getting on like Arceus. Um, and I think mechanically, like the new combat, I prefer definitely compared to like the agile, it's like strong thing. I always felt the agile strong thing was kind of a half measure. It's like, okay, cool, you're mixing up the combat a bit, but not really. Like you're just kind of giving like you're giving me one extra choice, but it's still playing out very similarly. Um, yeah, I think from a pure technical and like raw mechanical standpoint, I absolutely think ZA is a better game. No doubt in my mind. However, I think in terms of the general like pitch and flow of the game, it's actually very funny that one of your examples was like with Arceus, you kind of hit a point where you were like, "Yep, I guess this is it. This is the game." That's very much how I feel about ZA midway through, where like I
Mm.
like ZA and I think it's a good game. This is not me being like, "Oh, never mind, this is trash," but like it's like, "Oh, yep, I'm in this city and I can go to these wild zones and then it's nighttime and a battle area shows up somewhere and I can also go do that battle area and that will also be the thing that moves the plot forward at some point." Um, with Arceus, I felt a much greater degree of like excitement about getting to a new zone and having like new things to explore and like different environs. Whereas ZA is like, yep, this is Lumio City. You are in Lumio City. And it's kind of cool when you first start and are there, and it kind of wears thin once you're so many hours in, and it's just kind of like, yes, like this is the zone. This is where the game takes place, and there's not really much diversity past that. Um, it also feels weird, I think, for some of the wild zones where you're able to catch Pokemon because they feel kind of restrictively small. I was actually remarking to someone it's very funny that like they bring back alpha Pokemon from Arceus, and it's so silly how like in Arceus it felt like a cool thing to find where an alpha Pokemon was hanging out. In ZA, it's like, well, this zone is only like a 50-foot by 50-foot area, and there's an alpha over there for this Pokemon, and then the alpha for that Pokemon is over in that corner. They're larger than 50 by 50. I'm being hyperbolic. But the point is that they feel like very constrained areas where it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, man, like this is where I go to find Pokemon. And it just kind of feels like they needed a place to throw them for you to be able to catch them and keep that aspect of the game alive. Um, I actually think one of the really cool things, I don't know if you've really noticed this yet, I do like how you can also catch Pokemon outside of the wild zones. Like sometimes when you're
Yes.
walking around the city, you'll just notice that like, oh yeah, there's just like a
A lot
Pidgey
of
there.
flying types and stuff.
A lot of
Yeah.
flying types. A lot of the monkeys hang out in the trees, like Pansage, Panseer, all those guys. They'll hang out in the
Okay.
trees. So like if you look up in trees, you'll notice them sometimes. You can catch them there. Trubbishes are in alleyways because they're hanging out by the trash. Like that
Yep.
stuff I think is really cool. I almost wish the game didn't have the wild zones and just really tried to integrate as many Pokemon as they could into like areas that felt more like naturalistically happening. Um, but yeah, like I think like from a technical standpoint, I love everything about this game. My dream now is that, whether or not the pitch for Legends 3 ends up being the thing we saw in the Terra leak, I just want the next Legends game to be like, hey, give me the mechanics and the gameplay of ZA, but put it back in the kind of like larger zone exploration style we got in Arceus, because that's the cross section where I'm like, perfect. Like those are the thing. This is what I love about this game. This is what I love about this game. Just put them together.
Yeah. I that's fair. And like there I do agree that like the like going to the different zones in Arceus, like that added a layer of just like a added layer to the experience versus like being in a major city setting. I think that I think like through my experience, the main thing that kind of turned me off ultimately with Arceus was just like, so I'm just throwing Pokeballs, catch the same Pokemon over and over again that I don't really need, and it's because that's like how you kind of get XP in this
Oh yeah.
game.
I mean that's also
Um,
ZA though. That's the same.
like yes, but also like I don't mind doing. How do I explain this? I don't mind doing the combat more in ZA because it's fun. Like you know what I
It's
mean? Like
faster to get
I
in and
like
out of. Like you can run around
yeah,
fighting and beating up a bunch of Pokemon, and it's not a whole to do where suddenly it's turn based and everything slows down and changes.
yes. And so I'm curious to see like as I go on how like I don't I guess I'm saying like I don't want to go around and just continuously just throw Pokemon or Pokeballs at Pokemon I've already caught. At that point, I would rather just
run around
fight
and
it.
punch Pokemon.
Yeah, no, for
Well,
sure. Because I
and
just
the thing is though, ZA still encourages you to catch, like, 75 of the same Pokemon because that's how you level up the research dex thing to get, like, TMs and stuff. So they still push you towards, like, time to catch 20 Butterfrees or whatever. I don't think actually
yeah,
Butterfree's in this game. Weedle. Catch 20 Weedles.
yeah, and I don't know, and that's the thing too is that like because you're talking about the zones and how they're small. Like in that first zone, there's like one, maybe two Weedle. So you're telling me like I need to do the like catch the one or two Weedle and then leave and then come back and then like you know what I mean? It's just
They
like
they
that's
seem to respawn if you, like, catch and defeat a bunch of other Pokemon in the same region. So, like, you can kinda do a circle where you just run around either catching
oh
or
really?
wiping out, yeah.
Okay.
But it's still yeah,
Oh,
it still feels weird. I agree.
yeah. And there's a part of it also that like you I feel like that the game wants you to do a lot more of just like the stealth catching, which I understand. But like there's like when I first ran into like the Pichu in the first zone, like, oh, it ran away and disappeared. It can do that.
Yep.
And and then I was like, oh, a Badoo, I like Roserade. Like if I, like if I don't find other Pokemon, this is definitely like one of gonna be my like top picks for my team. And then I like started going towards it and then it ran away. I'm like, oh, okay. So like this is like a lot more common than I thought it would be.
Yeah, a lot of,
Um,
like, the weaker, smaller Pokemon will, like, do that, and that's, like, the only way to catch them is to just catch them off guard with a Pokeball, or really sneak
yeah,
attack them like, heavy.
yeah. So it's one of those things where, unfortunately, just due to embargoed stuff, I probably won't get back to this game in a real way for another couple of weeks, sadly. But I do want to get back to it. Like it should be a priority once that time comes. But those are kind of like all my general thoughts right now. Where like um, I like ZA a lot. I think the combat system is cool. Um, and it'll be interesting as I go along to see if like, hey, are these things I take issue with? I take issue with because of its ZA, or this is a just a Legends issue for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the catch method is definitely gonna be an ongoing Legends thing, because it taps a little bit into the Pokemon Go energy where it's like, yes, you can beat them up and weaken them, but also a lot of times you can just, like, sneak attack, throw a Pokeball at the back of someone's head and see if it catches. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think overall, like, I think, mechanically, technically, there's a lot of good choices this game makes compared to Arceus. Um, Again, I just think like general concept wise, I kind of dug what Arceus was having you do more. Um, but I think ZA is fantastic and similar to you, I put a little more time in. I basically got to the point where I just unlocked megas, and it's probably going to sit on the back burner moving ahead until like December. Like I just have too many other games I'm trying to catch up on right now. But
yeah.
I do want to go back to it because I'm enjoying it so far. I got a lot of my team lined out now, and yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll even wait till the DLC drops. That way, it's just all out and done in one go.
That's actually when does the DLC come out?
Um, Let me double check. I want to say January at the top of my head, like late
Oh, I'm not
January.
waiting that long. I'm
But
not waiting that long.
let's see, Pokemon Legends. Oh, actually, even later, late February, like basically the end of
Absolutely,
February.
absolutely not. Am I waiting that long? No, thank you. Um, because also one of the things that it's worth mentioning is that you have to do the online mode to get the Mega Stones
Yep, for
for
the Gen 6
the
starters.
Kalos starters,
Yep.
which don't like that. Apparently, it's not that it doesn't take that much time to do, but still don't like that.
Yeah, it's apparently not that bad to, like, do what you need to do to earn them, but it's
Yeah,
still, like, I don't like it. I just don't
yeah.
like it.
I don't.
Like, it's okay
Yeah,
that's easier to do than, like, it sounds like it is, but I still don't like it.
100%, 100% agree with you. Yeah, and okay, and then I talked about Persona 3, and like really all I said is like that's what I have to say is that like I think it's a fine Switch 2 port. Like it's not amazing, but they're doing patches. Like it's totally playable. I think you should like if you want to play it on Switch 2, I don't think you're gonna have like a major issue.
Mhm.
If that's what you want your experience to be. Thank you to Sega and Atlas for sending me a code. I really appreciate it.
Did you did you try it out in both modes, or were you primarily just, like, dock or handheld?
I played it in both modes, but I primarily played it docked.
Okay, but, like, the experience is pretty similar, you wouldn't say there was, like, a
Yeah,
heavy
yeah,
drop
yeah,
off in any particular way? Okay, that's good to know.
yeah,
Because sometimes with games, you never know, like, every now and then there's that Switch title where it's like, "Oh, man, like, this game's great docked," and then you go to handheld and it's like, "No." Like, they just didn't optimize a particular mode quite the right way.
yeah.
Um
It was yeah, I only really got to do the opening hours,
Mhm,
so because I was playing other things and
sure.
then got codes for other things, so I was like, this is the port, so like I'm really just like trying to get a vibe check and like
Yeah.
feel things out, and yeah,
Yeah, it'll
so
be interesting to see how far away, like, patch fixes are if they are gonna get the frame rate going a little smoother.
yeah. All right, now we're gonna get into the topic of the show for this week, and we're gonna talk about 2026. We're gonna talk about the games that we know that are coming, the ones that we think are coming, and kind of getting a vibe check and
Yeah,
seeing how we're what what we're looking forward to and all that jazz. Um, First we're gonna start with all the games that have like release dates.
actual release dates, yeah.
Yeah. So Legend of Heroes, Trails Beyond the Horizon, opening this up on January 15th. Uh can't wait. I part of me hopes but is also scared about getting if I do get a code, it's before winter break,
Yeah.
like before they go on Christmas break, because I'm just like, oh, now I have all Christmas break to play this game. Um, but yeah, I'm very excited. We're getting Kevin back, who is technically one of the MCs of the series. Yeah, yeah, like you, Kevin.
Hit me.
um, and and we haven't seen him since the Crossbell arc, so very exciting. Uh, Code Vein 2, January 30th. You think you're gonna check that out?
I never really got into the first one. Like, I think I downloaded it on Game Pass once and, like, made a character and played, like, the first
Hmm.
hour. Um, we've talked about this a few times. There's Souls likes that do the things I like in Souls likes, and there's a lot more Souls likes that do the things I don't really care about in Souls likes, and I feel like Code Vein falls under the latter. Not that it's a bad game or anything. It's just not. It just doesn't do as much for my brain. Uh,
Sure.
if it's on like PlayStation Plus or Game Pass, I'll probably end up checking it out at least. With other stuff coming out, I don't know if I would throw down to pick it up on like launch day.
Okay. Okay. But I'm curious about it. Like I wanna play the original and try the original,
Hmm.
but I also just know myself with Souls likes, and I'll probably be like, yep, this is a Souls like,
Right.
and I'm still just so shocked that this coming out in 2 months, 3 months, and we still don't know much about it, and it's like,
Yeah,
we
even
gotten like
TGS
no
didn't get
previews.
anything. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
Wow, I
feel
didn't even
like, I
think about
mean,
that.
Bandai Namco tends to do a lot of stuff with Jeff, so maybe we'll get another like maybe we'll get a bigger like gameplay trailer at the Game Awards or
That's a
something.
month though.
Yeah, I know. But
Okay,
what
okay.
other I mean, other than just doing their own standalone thing, like there's not any other major events coming up between now and end of January. So
I know, but I'm just saying that it's like there's not a lot of time left, and I
yeah.
feel like that this is a like one of their big games. Like this is developed internally, I'm pretty sure. Like it seems odd. Seems odd to me.
Yep. It is internal, yeah, Bandai Namco Studios.
February on February 5th, we're getting Dragon Quest 7 reimagined. You see what I'm
Oh
talking
my.
about now? Yeah,
It is
you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I just like not even thinking about the other games coming out in January, just the fact that we're getting Dragon Quest 1 and 2 in a week, and then it's literally 2 months and a week later is 7 reimagined. And like I get it because this is a separate team and they just kind of the timing worked out that way, but it is really wild we're getting two like kind of 3 because it's 1 and 2 as a collection. Like re-releases like this so close together.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I am, I've been Dragon Quest pilled over the past like, year and a half. But I I wish I just push it back a little bit. Just push it back. Give me a little bit more time. Because I need to finish 5, and apparently like 6 is like a 45-hour game. So I need the time. I need the space. Um, we got My Hero Academia All's Justice. We don't care about that. Neo 3, February 6th.
Yep.
How do you feel? Where do you stand on Neo again?
I'm not super into it. I get like
Really?
yeah, I get people that like it and I understand why, but it focuses entirely on the things I don't care about with Souls likes.
Right. Okay.
Like it's it's
Okay.
it's a very combat focused. Like the map design doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I don't think there's that much great like implementation of the storytelling aspects. It just doesn't do anything for me. I think this is also the I don't remember if you remember this, but also when talking about when Ninja Gaiden 4 was revealed, I definitely had a moment where I was like, we stopped making these so they could make Neo instead? Like really? Like that was the choice that was made as a team. Like we're gonna stop making Ninja Gaiden so we can make Neo instead. That is not an upsell to me. Um, but yep, so it goes.
So it goes. Uh, Mario Tennis Fever on February 12th. I want this game to be so good. I want this game to be so good, but I just don't like Mario Tennis Aces just didn't hit,
Yeah, Mario
And
sports games in general aren't.
that's not true.
No, I'm just saying they're not my thing. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying like it's
Oh, okay,
not.
okay,
I
okay,
just
okay,
yeah, it's
okay.
like it's all noise to me. I'm like okay, cool. Like we're getting another one.
No, man, I like I want them all the Mario sports games to be good.
And you
But
know what the real problem is too, specifically with the tennis ones. All I hear when you confirm a new Mario Tennis is great. Camelot is still not making RPGs.
I know, dude, it
Like
fucking
that's all I
sucks.
really hear. That's just
It
and
fucking sucks.
and look, it's just one of those things where it's like I'm sure internally team wise or whatever people's interest is, like Camelot is just not that team anymore. But like, damn it. Like I think it was when
Yeah.
Mario Golf was coming out. I think I was talking to like Danny Pena, and he was like, "Hey, like, are you excited for like you're a big Nintendo guy? You looking forward to Mario Golf?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess. I want Golden Sun. I don't know, man. I don't, it's just
Well, here's the thing, like, the last Mario Golf game was really fun if you played just, like, with your friends. Like, if
sure.
you just played with your friends, very fun
Yeah,
multiplayer
no,
game.
I'm
But,
sure most of
like,
the Mario sports games are solid. It's just not what I'm here for.
dude, they need to bring back sluggers. Like, I understand that they brought back strikers and they like, that shit flopped, which is really upsetting,
Yeah,
but give us sluggers, dude. Like, you can't fuck up baseball. Like, you can't fuck up baseball. Don't
you can't
don't
wreck
do
a
it.
thing more than it already is. No, I'm joking. Anyway,
Yeah, like, please, just do it. Like literally design it the same because at least because like with the soccer stuff, it's like okay, there's a lot more going on with like movement and things like that. Baseball, it's fucking hit the ball,
yeah.
hit the ball. Uh, so yeah, that would be dope. Um, Resident Evil Requiem, February 27th. Where's the barometer? Where's the heat s- scale for you right now with Requiem on a 1 to 10?
Uh, like 8.
Okay,
Yeah, like I'm
okay.
excited. I mean,
No,
like Resident
I
Evil,
know
I think
you're
is on a pace that I'm really enjoying. And look, I do prefer uh the kind of remakes and stuff they've been doing lately. That's something we forgot to talk about during the news. Resident Evil Zero rumors.
I did have I fucking forgot about that on the
So
docket. God
quick
damn it,
news
you're so
thing.
right.
Quick news thing. It's rumored that the next remake, big
Is
Resident Evil
Resident Evil
release is
0.
Zero. Anything they can do to not make Code Veronica again anytime soon, I fucking guess. It's uh, Zero's cool. I think it's neat. But yeah, like Resident Evil, I like Resident Evil, and I would say overall I do like what they've been doing with the remake games, like a little bit more than what they were doing with like 7 and 8. but I still also like 7 and 8 a lot. And so 9 kind of continuing that tradition. I feel like 9, I feel like Capcom's hiding something. And I don't know what it is. A lot of people think it's Leon. I don't think it's Leon, but I feel like they're intentionally being they're showing us a lot of Ashcroft, uh, which like makes sense. Like she's the main character, but I feel like we've really only gotten backstory and looks at that opening more survival-y section where she has no weapons and can't do anything. I feel like there's a big piece of the Requiem picture that Capcom is intentionally being a little catty with, and I'm very curious to see what that is. And I don't know if it's something they'll reveal or if it's going to be one of those like the game comes out and then we see what's up kind of things. Um, but I'm very curious what's going on because I feel like they're hiding something.
Yeah. No, that's I I'm waiting for that too. Again, I mean, I'm not gonna play this game probably, but again, Resident Evil is just like one of those franchises where I really want to be a fan of this series, but like every time I play it, I'm just like, oh, okay, like this is cool. Like,
I eat that shit up.
uh, yeah, no, I love that for you. Um, yeah, because I was asking you about your kind of excitement level because like it is still pretty familiar, like, but it hasn't done anything like I think for a lot of people that's really like wowed
Sure.
them, and so I was just kind of curious as to like where you were standing on
Yeah.
that so far.
I mean,
So
like, I don't get me wrong. I always enjoy games that like push boundaries and do something that's fun and experimental. But I'm also kind of just down for like, yep, I know this works for me, and you're doing another one, and like, that's cool, guys.
yeah,
And that's kind of my vibe with Requiem right now. Again, I do think there is something going on here beyond what they've shown. But just based on what they've shown, like, yeah, I'm down. I like Resident Evil.
cool. Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection on March 13th. I do want next year to be the year I play through the Monster Hunter Stories games. I want to play through both of them. I don't know if I'm gonna play them in order. Like if if we get offered a code or if I can get a code for Monster Hunter Stories 3, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna play it. But I do want to go back and play the other two as well. With that being the case, just so I can just kind of do the whole catch up situation. But it looks cool. It looks really pretty.
Yeah.
Like I like the art direction a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm in a similar boat where I'm like, this game looks appealing to me. And like, I've been meaning to play the other two stories games. I just haven't. And so this is kind of the extra, it's either that extra push of like, okay, finally play 1 and 2 to get ready for 3. Or I'm just going to end up waiting on all of them even longer for the eventual, like,
Yeah.
month long blitz.
Well, because Stories 2, a lot of people like anyone that played that game when it came out, it was like in their top 5
Yeah.
of that year.
No, I
Like
heard lots of great things.
they said it was like phenomenal. And so that's why I'm like when I saw Monster Hunter Stories 3, I'm just like, "Oh shit, okay, like it's really time like I really need to try and get into this series." Um and I ideally wanted to play them before Monster Hunter Stories 3. I think Monster Hunter Stories 3 came faster than I expected. And so I want to play this game when it comes out, and I do want to go back and play the other two, um, and see what happens there. Crimson Desert, March 19th.
Gonna be real interesting to see how that turns out.
I know. I really want to play that game. I really want to know what's up with that game. So yeah, I'm excited about that one. Um, Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered, also on March 19th. That's all to say about that. And that is all of the slated games so far for
Um,
that I have listed.
there's a
Like specifically that have release
Yeah,
dates.
yeah, yeah. There's a couple extra.
Okay. Which ones you got?
I mean, we got there's a few ports of stuff that already come out, so we can skip over those. It's like, okay, cool. Like, remake Intergrades coming to Switch too. Um, but I think probably one of the biggest one we missed was Yakuza 3.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yes.
Yakuza 3 Dark Ties.
Yeah,
That's
Kiwami 3 with Dark Ties. That's
is
February
that
12th.
January
February
12th?
12th. Yeah.
February 12th. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Which that's I'm very interested to see how the next couple months go for that because I know there's a segment of the fan base that's been really giving RGG a hard time about it, uh, for honestly pretty good reasons. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the casting choices that are kind of questionable, especially given the morals that the
Yep.
games tend to push. And it's like, really, you're gonna hire a guy that like is literally depicted like who has done things that get depicted as like a laughable villain thing, and it's like, cool, love that. So that's kind of a mixed feeling thing going on right now for the fan base because why? Um, but it's coming out February 12th. It looks cool otherwise. It's just that one thing that's a headache. Um, and then I think that yeah, that was really the one big. I mean, it kind of depends on what genres you want to touch on real quick. Like Soros, that's going to be next year, March 20th.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um,
It was on the list, but I was not considering it.
yeah, I feel like there was one other one we missed. What was it? Oh, okay, yeah, not much JRPG-ish either, but another one that I do that I'm excited for. That's an RPG, Deus Ex Remastered,
Yeah.
from Aspire, which like
Very cool that's happening.
yeah, and
Very cool
like
that's happening.
Aspire is one of those teams where I feel like they've done both very good work and some not good ones. And I don't know if that has to do with like who they're doing deals with or like just what the timeline's on. But I hope this ends up being one of the good ones because like I would be very down.
Yeah. Uh so just general planned releases for 2026. First we got Bloodstained, the Scarlet Engagement.
Oh yeah,
That's cool. Bloodstained is a series I like. The Curse of the Moon and the Bloodstained games. I've like those. That's a series I've been wanting to dive into. Like I have them all. I just need to play them.
yeah,
Like thankfully, so like hopefully around March or April time of next year, I will be in my own place. I won't have to do my contract job and do delivery driving. So I will actually have free time and I really want to start streaming again and like I really want to uh use streaming to like, clear a lot of my backlog.
sure,
And these are like near the top of my backlog like of games that I want to uh play on stream and just knock out.
yeah.
So
I
very cool.
I'm looking forward to them. I have played all of them. Personally, I really love Curse of the Moon. Like I think what
That's why I've heard.
yeah, I think what Inti Creates did with that game is just some absolute banger stuff. Um, the like proper actual game that was kickstarted, Ritual of the Night, is good. It kind of feels a little bit like a safe-ish, like it's a new Metroidvania, not called Castlevania. Like cool. Like
Because the Curse of the Moon games are directed by the Castlevania creator, correct?
no, other way around. Ritual of the Night,
Really?
yes, Ritual of the Night was the actual game that was kickstarted and directed by Iga and was like the game they wanted to make. And Curse of the Moon was a side spin-off series that was like a stretch goal that NT Creates made. I'm sure Iga had input, and I'm sure it wasn't
Oh,
like a
okay.
complete hands-off, but no, Ritual of the Night was the main thing they were kickstarting and making that he was pushing and working on. And then Curse of the Moon was like a bonus that ended up being arguably better.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. A very different style of games too, to be fair, because Ritual of the Night is meant to be a full blown Metroidvania, very much spiritual successor to like Symphony of the Night and that kind of thing. While Curse of the Moon is much more trying to ape like older Castlevania. It's very like Castlevania
Yeah.
3 coded. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, good stuff. And so this next one I'm excited for. It looks like it's tapping a little bit into the Portrait of Ruin type thing where you have the two characters with different abilities. So you can like tag them in
Mm.
and out to do stuff. Um, I, at minimum, I assume it's going to be a good time. Like, I don't know if it's going to be one where I'm like, oh, like this is now one of my favorite, like whatever. Like, I don't know, but I feel like at minimum it's guaranteed to be like, I got that scratch itched. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Danganronpa 2x2. I'm excited. I've only played Danganronpa 1, and I've heard Danganronpa 2 is the best one, so I'm excited to hopefully check that out sometime next year. I've been meaning to get to it. So that's dope. Please God, let it be the year we get Deca Police. Please, level 5. Don't fuck me on this because
Yeah.
I want this game like I have never wanted a game that I know so little about so bad. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we've seen a decent bit of it too. Like, it's not like we got like just a title screen or something. Like, they've shown like a healthy bit of some gameplay, a lot of like combat and like CG, like stuff. Like, there's some cool stuff we've seen for this game. We just needed to actually get finished.
Yeah, I want it. I want it. Uh, Decidium, Duellum, Final Fantasy.
Yay! Yeah,
Yay!
what's your energy like on that?
Doesn't
Non-existent.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, non-existent. Like, it's a mobile game. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
no. Like,
Everyone
I
I know who is excited about it, it's for the same reason and has nothing to do with it being like Dissidia or a mobile game. It's the, oh my god, I can have like Terra in modern day chic clothing.
I
Like
think that is cool. I
that's
think
like the
that stuff
big
is
selling point
cool.
for a lot of people.
Yes, I think that stuff is cool, but I just like it's not cool enough that I'm gonna play it, you know?
Mhm.
Dose of Divas, One Last Meal. Played that SGF and it was really, really good. And I'm really excited about it. Um keep the if you do play indie games, keep that on your radar. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly remake.
Yeah.
You Fatal Frame guy?
Yes and no. I have
Okay.
not played the whole series, but I have played 2 in particular, and like 2 is great. That's usually the
Okay.
one that a lot of people reference. Christine has played more of them. I think she's played the first 3. I don't think she got around to like the later ones, like the Lady in the Water or whatever that was on Wii U. But 2 is the one that a lot of people tend to go to as being like, this is the game. Like, if you're gonna play a Fatal Frame, this is the one. And it's excellent. I really enjoyed the original. It's one of those games where it's like, even though I played it way later, and it's on, PS2 graphics, it still kind of got me in some moments where I was like, oh, like I'm getting some hair raising going on here with some of this. Uh, I yeah, awesome game. I hope this does it justice and opens it up to some more folks.
Yeah, because I've never played the Fatal Frame games, because I'm not a horror game guy, but like these ones kind of interest me because it's the premise is unique enough where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go play because the original got remade, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'll just go back play the original remake, and then if I like that, go into Crimson Butterfly, like that kind of deal.
Mhm.
Uh, Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave.
Yes. About time. I'm still holding on to hope for like a 4 remake, but I'm just so glad we're getting a new Fire Emblem finally.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, and I hope it's good. I have I over at the end of the day, I do like Three Houses and Engage. I definitely like Three Houses considerably more. Um, but like I really want to like walk away from a Fire Emblem again where I'm like, fuck yeah. Like
Yeah,
that, like
it's like that was the
that
shit.
was the good one. Like
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when I finished Awakening the first time, I was like, that was one of the greatest games I've ever played. That was like literally my
yeah.
process. I was like, wow, that's like one of the best endings to a video game I've ever experienced, and I absolutely adore that game.
Yeah.
Um, that is a nice feeling every like that happens every very rarely. I think from just speaking for myself, but I'll finish a game and I'll be like, yeah, that was one of the greatest games I've ever played, and
Cinema.
shout
Just
shout out to that. Like, I mean, the Trails series was like the last time I experienced that,
sure.
where I did that multiple times. I finished the first game, I'm like, oh, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played. I played the second game. Oh wow, this is like a better one of the greatest games I've ever played. I play Azure. Wow, that was one of the greatest games I've ever played. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, uh, what's next? Dang, I'm scrolling down still. I'm scrolling down. Onimusha, Way of the Sword.
Yep. I'm
I'm
excited.
still, yeah. I'm interested. I'm interested. I'm glad that I played it.
Yeah.
I
No, I
don't
know.
think my opinion has really changed.
No, I know you're more lukewarm in general. And again, I think it ultimately boils down to like, you're looking for the sales pitch and what makes Onimusha different, and I'm going, oh hell yeah, more Onimusha. Just I don't need. I
No,
like the
yeah.
core of what I played, and as long as it gets expanded on the right way. Because again, we had this whole talk where like, I think if the slice we've played is like the whole game and there's not much growth past that, I would have some issues. But
Yeah.
I see the building blocks here, and I think with the right, like, getting other weapons and getting other, like, seeing how the systems grow and develop and can be messed with a little bit, there's some real cool potential here. I
And
hope
I
they capitalize on it.
and I will say I'm 100% playing this game in Japanese
Yeah.
because that English voiceover is not it, dog. It's not for the main character.
For what I heard, it didn't bother me at all, but that's you do you, buddy.
He's got like a British accent.
So, is he supposed to have an American accent? Like that doesn't like how does that like what do you want out of English voice acting that for like it's a different language. So why does it matter what accent you're hearing?
But like I get what you're saying, but I also
Like does that bother you in Xenoblade? Like Xenoblade's aggressively British.
well, yeah, but that's because everyone is though. Like everyone is though in that game, and that's fine.
Were the other characters not very British sounding for like
I mean,
for
like
Onimusha?
the gauntlet wasn't like those, and the other the boss you fight.
Mhm.
No, it's just him for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know,
No,
man.
dog, you're not. No,
It's
I'm.
already a
You're
different language, so I
gaslighting me.
don't care.
You're not gonna gaslight me on
I know,
this one,
yeah,
dog.
it's like it's already translating like if we're going with the concept of like what people are actually speaking in universe, they're definitely speaking Japanese because that's where the game takes place.
Yes,
And so the moment
yes,
you
but
step away from that, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Why do I care about what accent they use? As long as it's not some kind of extremely weird, stereotypical bad one, like, cool. It's
I mean,
English.
it's that too. Like, it's not good. Yeah, it's. I
Like
think you
what?
need to go back and like I don't
Does it
know if
like
you
open
can.
with him saying like bloody hell, it's Tuesday, isn't it? Like what? Like what's happening
No,
that's throwing you
no,
off?
it's just like a very like it feels like a over exaggerated British accent. Like I'm sure
It might
that
just be how
you'll
that bro
see you
talks,
find
man.
like,
I don't know. Like
and I'm saying it's bad. That's what I'm saying. It's bad. Anyway, uh, Pragmata. It's gonna be very good. I think it's gonna be very good. I hope it's very good. Romeo is a Dead Man,
oh yeah.
the new Suda 51 game. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. You've played No More Heroes, right? The No More Heroes games.
Yeah, no, I like Suda 51
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
I dig his stuff. I like how kind of irreverently weird it's gonna be. And look, if there's one thing you can rely on with Suda, it's that you're going to get a game that no one else is making. Like that's just
Which No More Heroes is your favorite?
oh, it's tough because like I feel like 3 came so much later. Like there's such a
Yeah.
gap in terms of like because I played 1 and 2 like when they were new, right? And like so I almost feel like the
Mhm.
headspace was different. Um it's one of those things where it's like there were updates and changes and upgrades in later ones, but there's something special about how 1 hit, you know? Like I think just like it's the first one and again, Suda's making stuff that no one else is really doing and the one time you are getting a repeat case is when it's a direct sequel. Uh and like there's a lot of problems with the original No More Heroes from like a design standpoint. Very repetitive in some aspects. Some of the like side
Yeah.
task stuff you have to do in the overworld is pretty dumb, but damn was it also just such an introduction to the series.
Yeah. I played them all. Like I played them like back to back to back.
Mm.
For the like first time. And I do like while I can understand why there's certain things that people like about the second game better, I think the first one is the best one. And I
Mhm.
do think that like the boss fights in that game are like really good, really memorable versus the rest of the series. However, No More Heroes 3 did have the best boss fight of that year, which was the musical chairs boss
Oh.
fight.
Yeah.
That shit was incredible. Like that shit I was like, "Oh, this game is so like cuz for most of the game I was just like, "Oh, okay, like you're kind of getting the vibe. I was like, oh, this isn't really hitting like the way that I was hoping it would after waiting for so long. And then you get to that boss fight, and you're like, oh, that was the best boss fight like in recent memory. Like it was so good. Loved it. Um, but yeah, I was just curious. Um, the Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales
Yeah.
demo was fun.
Yeah.
Interested to
I
see
I'm
what the
curious to
rest are gonna
see
be like.
yeah, I'm curious to see what feedback they got and what stuff they act on. Um, I think there was like a good solid proof of concept. I mean, look, they made new Zelda East hybrid basically.
Mm,
And like that's cool. I like it. I like their visual style. I like the vibes. I'm curious how the kind of I do want to know more about how they're going to structure and use the whole time travel aspect of things, but I think it's a neat pitch, and I'm excited to see. As much as I love like the core genres they've done so far, I am excited to see Team Asano kind of branch out a little bit and bring that visual style to more genres.
the Dusk Bloods.
Yep, that's a game coming out. You are correct.
So where's your barometer at here? I know that like, the multiplayer stuff is throwing you off, but like, there's got to be a certain level of excitement and just like,
I mean, if we're going between 1 and 10, and right now I'm probably sitting at like a 4.
okay,
It's
okay.
it's only that high because it's from
It's
Soft and
yeah, yeah,
Miyazaki, and so it's just like cool. Like I'm going to pay attention to the fact that it's releasing and what the conversation is around it. Um, and solid chance doing what we do, I'll probably end up checking it out at some point. Uh,
yeah.
but uh, of the things for FromSoft to announce that they're working on next, and not, I think especially it's painful because the initial trailer got me so amped and hyped, and
Hmm.
then the realization that it was like them experimenting with another multiplayer focused game. I was just like, all right, guys, like, cool, I guess, you know.
Okay.
Uh, and look, to be clear, this is not me thinking it's going to be a bad game or anything. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people who love this and eat it up, and I'm sure it's going to be quality. Like, I trust FromSoft to make like bangers for the most part, but just not. I'm not in that demographic.
Tomodachi Life, living the dream.
So excited for Tomodachi Life fans.
Yep, happy for y'all. Witchbrook, which we already talked about.
Yep.
Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. How you feeling about that one?
I I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I liked some of the snippets we saw. I like Yoshi in general as a property.
Yeah.
Um, the little bit of gameplay we saw was very cute, and I feel like it could be something really neat to like play with my nephew or something.
Hmm.
Um, but what little bits we saw of core gameplay, I have a lot of questions about like what you really do in this game, like moment to moment,
Sure.
and what the structure looks like. It feels very geez, what's that team? Give me one quick second. Because in typical recent Nintendo fashion, they haven't really given any details on like who's actually working on this. Um, but it gives me very like Good Feel vibes, which is the team did stuff like
Princess Peach
Princess
and
Peach,
the
Kirby Epic
other Yoshi
Yarn.
games.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just make a lot of games that are like they're not bad. They just always feel very simple,
Safe.
very basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not
Yeah.
even safe so much as just like I just always feel like there's like there's that conversation of like, do games need to have any degree of like friction, and is friction good? And I feel like they make very frictionless games. Like it's just sort of like, yep, I'm gonna start it up. I'm gonna go from point A to point B. I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
Like, there's some cool stuff. There are some things that I think are neat, but like I just walk away going like, cool, that came out. And again, we don't know if that like this is me purely like hypothetical right now. But like that was the kind of vibe I got from the trailer, where like this just feels very good feel to me.
Cool. Uh, the last two are from the same series. We got East Memoir, Revelations in Salsetta, and East 10, Proud Nordics. You think you're gonna you think you're gonna hop into East next year at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've already messed with East a little bit. I actually have played. I always forget how to pronounce it properly, and you even just said it. Salcetta, Salsetta.
Celceta?
Celceta. Yeah, I played that one back on Vita.
Okay.
That was like one of the few games that was like Vita native I actually got into playing because my Vita otherwise was like a PSP, PS1 machine. But I have played that one. I played 8, Lacrimosa, which is like a lot of people argue is the best one, so I had a good time with that.
Yeah.
I've meant to check out some of the other ones like Nox and such. But yeah, especially since this whole re-release thing was happening, I kind of held off on Nordics because I was like, oh, well, they already got a re-release in Japan, which means we'll probably get that re-release down the line. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I might check that one out. Like I dig it. I like what I've played of East. I just haven't really dived through like the whole. I someday I want to go back and do like the first 3.
Yeah. East 1 is very good. Like
I so I've heard. Yeah.
East 1 is very good. 2 not as much.
But they're like directly
Uh
connected, right? Like those are the 2
they're
games that
directly
are
connected. Those are
actually
the
yeah.
two. Yes, yeah. And then Oath and Felgana is very good. Very, very good. And then yeah, East is a series I need to get back to because I was, I've played the 4 and then I was gonna hop into well, I've played Nordics as well. So I've played the 5 and then I was gonna hop into 8 because it's the next one on the timeline. I started it, but I just like it got to the point where things just got too busy in life and I had to prioritize other stuff. So like while I still would like to continue my Dragon Quest journey as well as like play those Monster Hunter Stories games, I also really want to get back to East and Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Like I would not be mad if 2026 is a very light year. I would really love that actually.
We'll see,
Uh,
because like I mean, this is the stuff we know about right now, and I feel like more and more devs have been keeping stuff close to chest. So like, who knows
yeah.
how many
Like
games are going to get announced and released
I
within a
do
form of
feel like
window.
that we have more games that we know about like going into this year than we did going like last year going into 2025.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, it kind of depends on how Game Awards goes, because I do think we tend to see like the early, like the quarter 1 spring window, like late February and March, has been blowing up a lot the last few years because everyone keeps delaying their holiday releases. Um, and I actually feel like we know fewer of those this time around
Mm,
than normal. Like I feel like that's a smaller list, but who's to say Game Awards is going to happen and then everyone confirms some of the games we're talking about right now are all February, March releases, and then that ends up being a mess.
yeah.
Um, there are a few games I want to bring up that we didn't talk about yet. Some of these are re-releases. Some of these are, you know, maybe not completely under our JRPG umbrella, but like close enough with fandoms. Um, I forget. Did we bring up Pragmata real quick as like one of
We
the
did.
Capcom? Yeah. So Pragmata.
We did.
Okay, we talked about that one. Deltarune Chapter 5 should be next year. So we're keeping
Okay.
that
Yeah,
pace
yeah.
going, and we will see, what happens next for everyone that's been keeping up with it, and one step closer for folks that are waiting for a full release. Uh, Marvel Tokon, Fighting Souls. Ah,
Yeah, I that was on the list. I overlooked that, but yes, yes, technically.
yeah. I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten like a roster update yet. I kind of thought they would drip feed us some like roster reveals through the year. Like I really thought one of the Evos would be like give us a character reveal. But no, it's just been that initial cast from the first trailer, and they're keeping it close to the chest right now. I forget if they said how big the roster is supposed to be, but I want to see more of it because I think the as much as I'm excited for like a new tag fighter, uh, I also just really dig the fact that ArcSys is allowed to kind of do what they want with character designs. I love their take on Iron Man. I love kind of the light design choices and art style picks for characters, and so I that's like part of why I want to see more of the roster reveal. It's like, yeah, I know who Marvel characters are, and I know which ones are probably going to get picked for this based off popularity alone, but like I want to see their take on them.
Yeah. So looking at the like character select screen, assuming there's a slot for all of them, it looks like we would be getting 35 characters. That but that could also be like DLC included, like
Yeah, I was
over
about to
the
say that's a significant. I mean, like I'd be down, and especially because the game is teams of 4. Like you kind of want to have a bigger
yes.
roster because you run
Yes.
out of interesting combinations pretty fast. But that's more like I would have expected. Like 24 would have been my assumption, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
that is where it starts, and DLC fills it up to 35, 36. But like, cool, I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
35 is substantial.
That's yeah, pretty. Especially like I feel like more these days, a lot of fighters are launching with smaller rosters out the gate, and it's like
Hmm.
they're relying on DLC to fill it out over time. Um, Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection, not a
Yes,
sub series
yes.
I've actually played at all, but I know some folks who enjoyed it, so
I'm gonna
cool.
be honest with you. I never heard of that sub-series of Mega Man until they announced the collection. I
It's
was like,
basic
cool.
it's basically the continuation. Like it's not the exact same as, but it's kind of like okay, like they did all the Battle Network games, so now here's like the new sub-series that's kind of in a similar vein that they did on DS was where it
Okay.
primarily lived.
Okay.
Um yeah. Pokemon Pocopia? Huh? You want to be that weird little Ditto kid? Build a
Yeah.
village, make some friends? I don't know.
No,
I think it's yeah,
nope.
I'm down to see more of it. I don't know.
I
Like I
nope. It gives me Animal Crossing vibes, and that's not my thing.
bum, 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 da, 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 da. Come on, you don't feel a little joy? None?
No.
Whimsy is dead? All right. Let's see here. We got Professor Layton might finally release. That's
Yes,
another
Professor
level
Layton.
5 that's just been like put on the back burner again and again, and I want it to be good. I would love to see a new Layton after so long. Um, this is getting a little out there, but I just want to shout it out. Scott Pilgrim EX. I can't believe we're getting a new one, like an
Yeah.
actual new one.
Yeah. Yeah. Not really to this podcast at all, but that shit's gonna be sick.
That yeah, I love that beat 'em ups have just enough energy that like we get like 1 to 2 banger looking ones a year.
Yep.
So Dotemu tribute and a handful of devs just doing the Lord's work, keeping this genre going. Uh, Super Mario Wonder re-release for Switch 2, where we're getting the new content.
Yep. Yep.
I feel like it's earlier in the year probably, but we'll see. And then also Nintendo Rhythm Heaven, another similar vibes to Tomodachi, where I'm just like, I'm very happy for the people that are into this.
I mean, it's cool that's coming. I mean, do we? I don't know if we're gonna get that next year.
That's what didn't they say 2026 in the trailer?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't remember.
I think that one was hinted at for next year, but I'd be very surprised if it was further out than that. Other than like planned and then delayed, just because I feel like Nintendo is trying to be better about not announcing like that far ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
it is for original Switch as well, so like it's not like a Switch 2 exclusive title that needs a little more time. The starting time for development could have been later. And I think that covers all the kind of extra nooks and crannies. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 games we're not thinking of that we could bring up as well. But that's yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of stuff
that's the
happening
thick of it.
next year.
Yep, a lot of cool
Any
things.
uh any games we know existing that don't have Windows you're hoping to see be turn out next year,
KH4.
H4, yeah, that's the big one. Just like when
KH4. KH4 Trails second chapter, very
true.
possible.
Yeah, that's right. They did
Um
kind of like they soft announced it kind of.
yeah, like they confirmed it, it's like it was like confirmed at the end of the first game, which they had to do it. Like they're like come on, like they had to do it. But also like I think a lot of people are expecting that to come out next year, which
Yeah.
I like would be delighted, but I also would not be surprised if it takes another year. Because we know because we're still because like the thing is that once we hit January, we know that we're completely caught up with Japan when it comes to trails,
Yeah.
which has never happened before. Um, and on top of that, the game was supposed to come out in this month, and it only got delayed because they wanted to add the Switch 2 version. So the
Mm,
game's done.
yeah.
Like, so you
They're
know
just
what I mean? Like the
optimizing it for a
game,
particular platform. Yeah.
yeah, the localization and like all like it's just basically they're just sitting on it.
Yeah.
And so I think that with currently they're working on the new trails. They're working on SC and they're working on a new Tokyo Xanadu. So I know like going into next year, Tokyo Xanadu is going to be a big push for a Campfire catalog game for me.
Mm,
Like so we can be like, "Oh, we've played it, so like
yeah.
let's play
And
the."
that's like a dungeon crawler series, right?
I don't really know. Like I know that because there's the Xanadu games, which is also Falcom, and then Tokyo Xanadu is like I don't know if it's under the same banner or if it's its own thing,
Okay, yeah, I
but
might be thinking of like just straight up Xanadu. Tokyo Xanadu looks like it's a action RPG.
I
At
know
least
it was an
based on
action
yeah,
RPG, but I didn't know if it was yeah, I just didn't know if it was like specifically like dungeon crawler focus like that.
sure.
Um but yeah, so Falcom's got definitely got multiple things in the works. It just depends on, are you going to release them worldwide, or are you going to release them in Japan first?
Mhm.
Because anything that comes like anything that doesn't come out worldwide next year probably won't come out in the US next year. It'll probably come out in 2027. So I think that the only realistic thing is second chapter, because I don't think we're gonna get trail like a new entry to Trails, and I don't think Tokyo Xanadu at this. Well, so apparently I think in a couple of weeks is when Falcom is like doing their big meeting,
Mhm.
and there's going to be a lot of updates on their projects. So hopefully then we'll learn kind of what the vibe is with the Tokyo Xanadu project, because I know that that's like a big thing that they've been talking up for a bit now. So
Yeah. And then we I forget where we stand on this. Persona 4 Golden or Persona 4
revival, oh yeah, that'll
Revival.
come out. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, Persona
Well,
5.
because it doesn't have it because it's not listed at they didn't give any year indication. So like, it could be next year, but it could technically be also maybe 26 or 20.
I
What year is it? 27.
I
Um
think it's definitely coming out next year. I think it'll be um I think it'll probably be like on the back end, probably like I'm thinking maybe August, September
yeah.
of next year, but I think it's definitely coming out next year.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing is like Atlas Atlas's like schedule next year outside of that is kind of just unknown,
Right.
right? I don't think we're gonna get like a Metaphor updated release. So what, outside of like maybe a few remaster ports, like I wouldn't hate seeing like Radiant Historia or like Strange Journey or like
Sure.
some of those like DS games getting Switch ports. Like
Ramasa would be
that'd be
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So there's that. Um, yeah, and then don't think we'll see anything from Vanillaware next year.
No.
Um,
Only if it was like a remaster that is being handled by
yeah,
like a different team. Like a Muramasa port is the only thing I could think would maybe happen because that's kind of the one big game missing right now on later platforms.
yeah,
Um Yeah, that's all I would expect to see. I wouldn't expect like a new game from Vanillaware next year. Um Pokemon, as we, probably Gen 10 next year. We'll see how that all shakes out. Um Probably it for big franchises. I'm sure there's more we could speculate on, but as far as games we know about, like that's kind of where we're standing.
yeah.
What do you think? Dragon Quest 12? Like what's in your head
That
right
was literally what I was thinking.
now? I
That was
knew it.
literally what I was thinking,
I knew
Kevin.
it. I saw that glint in your
Uh,
eye. Look, man, that game's like I put that in the same category as Kingdom Hearts 4 of like it's coming out when Square Enix decides it's coming out. I don't know, man. They're doing
that's
stuff.
fair.
I
Yeah,
feel like, and I don't know if it's because of the remake and remaster push or if the remake and remaster push is happening because of this. I feel like something restarted or pivoted at some point. Like I feel like they had a plan for 12 and then that plan changed. Um
very possible. And then also like, Akira's death, like Toriyama's death, like that
yeah.
that could have played a factor. We don't know. What about well, okay, well, and now here's this Dragon Quest 4 remake.
Oh, I mean, I think that's eventual for sure, right? Next year?
We got Dragon Quest 3 last year, and then we got 1 and 2 this year.
Yeah, but we also learned about 3 how long ago, and then there was silence for a while until they finally confirmed it was still on with 1 and 2 as well.
That
Um,
that is true, but I
yeah.
also think that they like needed time to figure out like a lot of the
No, there's
you
an
know,
argument of like now that they've done these HD 2D games, it's kind of a little more iterative and like they can kind of like
yes,
bust them out a little faster.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I would not be I would not be like shocked by like a Dragon Quest IV remake happening like late next year. I don't think I would like expect it. I wouldn't bet on it. Like I'm not like,
yeah.
oh,
I
like
agree with
if
you.
that happens, like cool. Like I'm down. But I feel like we're gonna have a bigger gap going into because four is also just like a bigger game, not like massively bigger, but like it's big enough. Um, yeah, we'll see.
Ultimately, I agree with you there. Like, I think that like we'll, I think we will get an announcement. I think that will
Sure.
happen,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it'll come out in 2026.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that's seemingly okay. Now I've okay. Actually, I'm gonna throw a pitch for you.
Okay. Okay. Hit me.
Do you? Mm, this is tough. I'm very curious as to what you
Yeah.
think. Do you think we're gonna get just an announcement of FF17 next year?
Oh. Oh, that's a curveball.
And that could be as it could be as small as a like a teaser trailer with a logo, or like we're getting we get like a decent chunk of like, hey, this is kind of what the premise of the game is going to
Yeah. 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 My
be.
gut my gut reaction to you saying this is no.
Okay.
And if we do, I think we get like the thinnest of it. It is an Elder Scrolls 6 reveal. You know what I mean? Like we're getting a title
Mm,
card
mm.
and maybe the loosest pitch of like, here's the theme we want to tackle with this game or something. I don't see 17 being that soon. That we'd be getting like actual details that early. Um, who knows? Maybe the like schedules are always shifting, and maybe they like kind of hit the ground running already for that one, and had the plans and are just being very secretive about it. Um, but that feels quick to me for how the franchise has been handled at least for the last like decade.
Yeah, so here's where I'm at with it is that I think that I think that they're at a place where they could announce it cuz what 23 was FF16.
FF16 was 23. Yes.
Yeah, so 23 was 16. I don't think it's going to be the same team, so having a different team working on it like that makes things different. Um I do think that, and I don't think that like if it was announced and like alongside with like marketing stuff for 7 finale, I don't think that's really going would affect anything because again, I don't think that they're going to go like all out because like
Sure.
I think Square has definitely found that their like stride in how they market their games,
Yeah.
um where for a long time was a real big issue and to a certain extent is still kind of an issue, right? Like, Kingdom Hearts 4, like, granted, they were like, Nomura was transparent, like, yeah, this is happening. Here's a trailer. We're gonna show you more when we're ready.
Yeah.
Like, he was transparent about that. It wasn't like hey, we're dragging this on for fucking ever without giving you any real proper information outside of here's a new trailer. And so I'm curious if like I think that they could totally do like some sort of teaser trailer just to get people like excited that like, hey, there's a new one coming,
Sure.
and then like wait for the trilogy like 7 to end, so like all that
Yeah.
kind of
Well, and
potential
yeah.
way is out of the way,
Yeah, and I don't
and
think there's
then
any like hard clash there, right? Like 16 and Rebirth were like both kind of shown and marketed
yeah,
at similar times for a while. Like I think they can navigate that just fine. Yeah.
yeah, and both like they both fell a little bit in the same trappings of like, oh, this is a PS5 console exclusive. And so like I think that this would probably be like a PS6 game, but I'm curious I would be interested in seeing like if they were to announce something next year. And I do think we need an update of Dragon Quest 12 next year. I think it needs to happen. You
Just
need
an
to give us
acknowledgement
something.
of some sort.
Like
Yeah,
you need to give us like what the main character looks like. Give us something because um it's been too long now at this point. Like,
sure.
yeah. And same goes for Kingdom Hearts 4. Like, I understand, like, oh, we're gonna show you when it's ready. And it's like, well, it's fucking been 5 years. It's been fucking 5 years. Show us something.
Sure.
Um, and those screenshots like that we got earlier this year, like, cool. Doesn't really, that's not the update we're kind of looking for. So,
Yeah.
um,
I go in waves with that kind of thing because, like, on the one hand, they did open Pandora's box by like announcing and revealing when they did,
yeah,
particularly in 12's case, where there was kind of like the light hinting of like, oh, we're planning on doing some things differently this time, but then there was no elaboration, and then literally no update since then. At the same time, though, man, it's just like I don't know. Let devs teams cook. Things happen in the back end. I don't know if we're ever like owed a update or explanation. Like it's cool and it's nice when it's done well, but like I look at Silksong, like those dudes shut the hell up for years, and we got one of the best indie games of the year. So like, I just care if the end product's good, you know?
yeah. I think the difference with Silk Song is that like Hollow Knight, I think it's part of it is like it's an indie game. I think like with Square when it's such a big company where like generally the games are good, but the quality can waver based off the project. Like it's one of those things where yeah, after the success of Hollow Knight and you're going to make more Hollow Knight, then yeah, people are going to be like just take your time with it, be ready when you're ready, like that type of thing. And ultimately I think that's how like people are like that's how I'm with like Kingdom Hearts 4, right? Like I love Kingdom Hearts and I like want to, I want them to take their time and I want them to get it right, but I also think that that comes with updating people on the progress of that so that they know that they're not waiting for nothing, like that kind of
Sure.
vibe. Cuz similar with Toby Fox, right? Like Toby Fox like makes anything, it's just like cool, we'll be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that there's just like having because even Toby Fox does it, right? Like Toby Fox does it like I think in a good way where he's just like every now and then he's like, hey, here's an update on this.
Yeah.
Here's an update on this. Like that's perfectly fine. Like and we do get that sometimes with JRPGs where we get like updates in an interview. Like we get that from Hamaguchi being like, hey, part 3 is progressing really well. Like awesome. Like, that's cool. Like that gets it all by. But I think just with Square Enix, we talked about this year, they didn't really have a whole lot this year. And think that next year is going to be a really big year for them, at least from like a promotional standpoint on like the games that they're promoting. And there's a lot of games that need crucial like updates. And I think that like, for reasons for them and reasons for consumers, we need them. Like, give us those updates.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. I think there is such a thing. Like, I think updates are a good thing, and there is a good and bad way of handling it. I just
100%.
I just always feel the need to push back a little bit because sometimes we just don't know how things are going. And like it's one thing to be like, hey, like look, if the thing's just gonna get canceled, let us know it's gonna get canceled. Certainly. I think there is certain information that once the company knows that on the back end, like it's a good idea to let people know. Um, but I also think sometimes when there's a lack of news for a while, people begin to construct their own ideas and assumptions and put that on like they need to tell us what's happening. And it's like they don't like let tell us like we'll get an update when there's actually something worth updating and seeing, you know? Um,
Yeah.
and
I'm not, because I'm just saying, like, I'm not like the guy that's like, I need an update every year. Like,
sure.
I'm just not that. And like, maybe like 5 to 7 years ago, I would have been. But you recognize that games take longer to develop.
Yeah.
And so, like, those updates are going to be less frequent. Um, and so I understand that, and I don't think that like that should be the expectation for like really anyone nowadays.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well,
Video
that's
games.
that's what we're looking to 2026. Kevin, is there anything for the people before we dip out?
Wonder if we had anything Xeno related next year. Anyways, yeah. No,
Ooh, yeah.
that
I
was also in the back of my head this whole
mean,
time. Not necessarily like a Blade 4 or whatever, but just something. Like, I don't know. Like
mm,
what's Monolith doing right now? Um
Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition. I think it's gonna happen.
yeah, maybe. I'm not as on that concept as you are, but
I'd be so happy.
I mean,
I'd be so happy.
I think to like Switch 2 edition makes sense to me. I don't see full remake, but like we'll see.
Is Definitive Edition isn't a remake?
I mean, it depends on which game you look at, because there are games where that is at least a remaster. Like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition is not a that is not a simple port with like
Oh,
finalized
it's not a
content.
simple port, but
Yeah.
it's not a remake.
It's the whole remake remaster like blurred lines
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. I
it's
get what
at
you're
least a remaster. They
Yeah.
redid the
Oh,
whole
100%.
they
No,
literally redid the art style. Like they
that's
made they
that
made
is what I
Shulk
was.
twinkier. Like
Yeah, that's what I was confused about. I was just like, wait, but Definitive Edition is a
sure.
remaster. Like,
My point
what do you
is
mean?
I don't think I see them putting that degree of work into like a 2 re-release. I just see it being Switch 2 edition and like it has a steady frame rate without dropping the resolution all the time. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious what Monolith's cooking. I know they're doing a lot of support stuff for a lot of other teams still, but like I feel like maybe next year is the time to at least get like, maybe we get a little something, little announcement.
Yeah.
Um, Even if that ends up being like, there's older games that could be remastered too. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Anyways, that's my final thought. Everybody have a nice weekend.
All right, everybody. You can follow me on socials at CamFinalMix. You can follow Kevin on socials at Kevin Kenson. Thank you to everyone listening to this week's episode. And until next time, catch you later.
Later.